Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Dude, I get it now.
You get it.
I get it. I get the whole thing.
You see how powerful you feel?
Yeah, you feel like you can talk shit, like you're in another dimension.
It all the things that you do, like working out and succeeding, you don't need to really do a lot of that. If you put these on, you get a lot of the effects of like your, like being a trained fighter and all that crap. If you just put these on, you kind of get the idea of that until someone calls you out and kills you. But
yeah, you got to avoid like actual conflicts.
you got to run away.
But you do feel superior to people.
Oh, for sure.
Like you have a suit on or something.
Yeah,
like an Iron Man suit.
It keeps you away. There's a distance between you and other people now.
That must be why celebrities wear them when they go out.
Probably.
Like we'll see like at concerts or UFC fights, you'll see celebrities with full-on sunglasses.
Interesting.
Yeah. They're like a cat hiding underneath a chair and the tail's hanging out. It's like, you can't see me, but I can see you, stupid.
Yeah. No, people, they do give you some, and a lot of people, I guess, are on drugs.
Yeah, that's probably why.
And then their eyes are bugged out of their head.
I just think they're trying to avoid eye contact with people. Because then people are trying to give them a script.
Yeah, I think that's true. They just don't. They want to be left alone.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be left alone in public, maybe that's the only way to do it.
You just
got to
wear
these things.
And they're getting bigger and bigger, and
these are so huge.
They're crazy.
This is like a rich lady who gets out of a car with a small dog.
They're crazy, and you wear them. And when I got them as a joke. But then you just keep doing it
because they're good.
Because they're good. They're actually fun, and people come up to you and say nice things about the sunglasses.
Which is weird.
They'll go, these sunglasses are really cool. And like cool people, like black people. And those, you know what I mean? Like a black guy will go, those shades are cool. And I'll go, that's great. Like if a guy like me says it means nothing. I would throw them out. But.
Well, it was for this is like a bad sunglasses from the 80s.
Yeah.
Like what Brian Bosworth used to wear. Do you remember the Boz?
I don't.
He was a guy who was famous for his sunglasses. He was a big-time football player.
Interesting.
He was one of those, every now and then one of those fellas like, what's his name? The one that's dating Taylor Swift?
Travis Kelce.
That guy. Like when one of those guys breaks through and becomes famous, that was the Boz.
Oh, wow.
See? Those are corny as shit in 2000. But here we are in 2024.
They're back.
Invest in bell bottoms,
They're
kids.
absolutely back. They're absolutely back.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a mullet too.
Everything comes back. Mullets are back.
Yeah, mullets are back. Theo probably helped with that.
Big
and
time.
lesbians.
Theo.
And lesbians.
There's not enough new ideas. You got to recycle certain ideas.
After a while, you go, the mohawk's not that bad.
Yeah, of course.
What's the problem?
Everything was baggy, and then everything was tight, and now everything's getting baggy again.
Yeah. The ladies are wearing baggy pants.
A lot of people are wearing baggy stuff, but then that'll probably swing.
Yeah, I thought the whole idea of the tight pants is to show your body. That's what it's for, right?
For sure.
And what happened, ladies?
I don't know.
Why'd you go baggy?
Something happened.
I don't get it. Go back to the tight stuff.
Yeah.
That looks better.
Well, they feel no one can objectify them if they wear a bag.
Yet they'll go to the gym in yoga pants.
That's right.
That are so thin, you could literally like read Braille through them.
Right.
And you see your full vagina
it's just hanging out.
And a lot of these gals are not wearing panties because they don't want the line. I don't want there to be a line. So they have just raw pussy covered by yoga pants out there in the wild.
We're kind of lucky as comedians to wear pretty much. We don't, like you dress up in a suit for UFC and for other stuff.
Yeah.
But most of us don't.
Yeah, you don't. I don't mind a suit. I like it. I wear if I have to go somewhere special.
Yeah,
throw a suit on.
Right.
I don't mind it. Sebastian's into it. Boy, that guy.
They wear it. I saw Seinfeld at Gotham. He's in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
People wear them. Mulaney wears one.
Yeah, they like
I think,
to wear them. It gives you a certain. You feel like you're some sort of an expert.
For sure.
You're definitely better than the guy in the hoodie.
Yes,
the guy in the hoodie.
I agree. But
idiot.
I'm the guy in the hoodie, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree
like
too.
when I see Seinfeld, I go, I agree that you are, and it's not even fashion. He's better in every way.
I wear hoodies 3 days a week.
It's fun to wear a hoodie and jeans.
Yeah, it's casual.
It's a great...
It's loose. I feel comfortable.
It's a great thing to just...
Soft.
And to be able to make money in a hoodie's great.
Yes.
That's the cool thing about it. To have jeans on and go, I'm going to make money in a hoodie and jeans.
I think that's what John Fetterman was getting into when he went into the Congress.
That's what he was doing.
Look, if I'm going to be rich now, I'm going to dress like what I would dress like if I was like Rick Rubin.
He's kind of an interesting guy now because now he's starting to make sense, which is
what
strange.
the fuck is going on? Did the stroke knock some sense into him?
I don't know what happened, but he's like actually coming out of the gate with some like very rational things.
Yeah, good takes on everything.
Yeah,
on everything.
And I'm like, if that's what Sweatpants does, let's do it.
I wonder if like when he was running, he was recovering from the stroke, and so that was why he would have those moments where his brain would sink off, and we'd be like, this guy's fucked. He can't be a senator.
Right.
But maybe what it really is it just takes a while for everything to come back, and now it's all back.
Right.
And now he's making sense because I haven't seen any of those videos since. Of him, there was a few videos where it was like me if I eat like a 500 milligram edible.
He was out of it for a period of time.
Yeah, he was gone. He was in this place where it just didn't make sense what he was saying.
Yeah, but now he's back, and it feels like, from my perspective, that the things he's saying are pretty logical.
What a crazy political move.
Yeah.
Recover from a stroke publicly.
Right.
While in the middle of a campaign.
In a sweatsuit.
Against a guy who's famous.
Right.
And still win.
And then get progressively better and make more sense. Because our guy, that's the president, is getting worse. And Fetterman's getting better.
I'm of the opinion, and I think you are too, that Biden doesn't exist. I believe...
It could be the first AI thing.
I think he's a living human being. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing there. It doesn't exist. So
it's
I think
not there.
I don't think there's a question about this.
Right.
So everything around him is what's supporting the country, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
Kind of shows you that the system kind of works.
Sure.
When you got a guy like that, it's a great kind of stress test to see like what happens.
Yeah.
When you get a guy that's just going, and also how much you can gaslight people into voting for him again.
Yes.
How much you can gaslight people into voting for the people around him again is what it really is. The people you don't even know. Like this mysterious cabal of humans that's actually running the country.
Well, it's such a weird thing because he came out at the State of the Union. He was pretty good, but he was heavily drugged. Like something, and you might know more than I know about like certain types of things that you can do. Like what... You've had all these doctors on and stuff. Is there a way to make that guy like that for the debates? Is he going to be able to? Because no, he wasn't great.
What I would recommend is I would time it correctly, right? So I'd recommend that he got lots of sleep. I would cut all the ice cream out of his diet for several days, all the bullshit out of his diet. Then I would give him NAD infusions and IV vitamin infusions multiple days in a row, like 3 or 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
Then the day of, I would make sure that he eats really well, gets a lot of sleep, and then I would fill him up. I'd fill him up with Adderall. I'd give him testosterone. I would give him human growth hormone. I'd give him nootropics. I'd give him everything that we know that creatine. Yeah. Creatine helps with. It actually does.
No,
help.
I'm sure.
Creatine is a cognitive enhancer.
I'm thinking of him getting all these injections in that
creatine
skin.
Just supplement.
Just that purple skin from all the marks.
Oh God.
That skin that's just wound so thin. It's spun so thin on his body. All of the bruising from all of these needles of stuff that they need to shoot him up with to just be coherent for an hour.
Isn't it crazy? Like when Obama was president, the worst they could get on him is remember when he wore that tan suit?
Right. Yeah.
He never had a single moment publicly where he stumbled, where he said something really stupid. This is insane.
It's insane. It's much worse than even, remember George W. Bush? Mm-hmm. And he would say silly things.
Yeah.
This is like so far down the road from that.
It's so far down the road. It's so far down the road that it's like I think it's elder abuse. I really do. I mean, if it was any other job, it would be elder abuse. If there was a guy who was running the corner grocery store and his family was making him run it, and he was that old and they had money, you'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing to your dad? Why are you making your dad work? Your dad's out of it."
Yeah, why would you do? Yeah, there was a guy in New York, this legendary guy Dom, who ran this pizzeria called DeFara's, which is like widely thought of as the best pizza in New York. And he was so old, and at the very end, he was just over the pie with the oil and cutting basil, and it was like you felt bad because the pie was amazing, but you're watching a guy at the end of his life
making pizza,
very old, and he would struggle. He'd put it in the thing. It was hard. It was like you kind of gasped. And that's what we have now, except it's with Russia.
Yeah, but however, if I went to a pizza place and there's a guy who loves making pizza so much that here he's fucking dying.
Right.
It's his last days. He's still, I'm going to make you a nice pie.
Yes.
I'm going to make you a nice pie.
And he fought.
He must love the fact that his pizza is awesome.
Yes, he loved it.
Yeah, if you make good food, it's probably a lot like killing.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Like you kill on stage, everybody loved it. Great, we had a great time. Thank you. I'm so happy you guys had fun.
You gotta wonder what the reward is for Biden. Like, is it even fun? It can't be fun.
It can't be fun.
Why does he even want to do this?
That guy making that pizza, when someone folds a slice of that pie and goes, oh my God.
They're into it.
It's like they're killing.
And that guy goes, I've made all of these people happy.
Yes.
But this guy, I mean, this just came out in the Wall Street Journal where they're saying that he's like showing signs like behind closed doors.
Wait. What are you saying?
I know. It's shocking.
This is crazy.
It's shocking.
It's what? When President Biden met with congressional leaders in the West Wing in January to negotiate Ukraine funding deal, he spoke so softly at times that some participants struggled to hear him. According to 5 people familiar with the meeting, he read from notes to make obvious points, paused for extended periods, and sometimes closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wondered whether he had tuned out.
Or died.
But are they can't change him out now. Right? You and I both thought it was going to happen in May.
We were convinced. I remember texting you. I was convinced. I actually heard from people that were in kind of, around the Trump campaign that thought they were also preparing to run against somebody who wasn't Biden.
Right.
And they had believed that. They were like, it's going to be Newsom or somebody. And it hasn't been. So why, not to sound like a nut, but why are they so committed to this guy? There's something weird about it. There's something strange about it.
Do you think that's it? I think he's the sitting president, and they gaslit everybody into thinking he was fine. So now they would have to change course radically to justify getting him out of office. If they just published an article, I think it was in the Times, that was talking about Biden saying that his age is his superpower. Did you see that?
Yes.
And then Seth, what's his name? The guy from the fucking Family Guy?
Seth MacFarlane.
That guy retweeted it.
Right.
And was like, this is an amazing, I couldn't have written this better
thing.
What?
Right. Yeah.
What?
His age is his superpower.
So you'd have to turn that back. So you'd have to get all these people. Do you remember when there was a whole list of a bunch of celebrities? They used to make videos where they would tell you what to do.
Right.
What we need to do. What we need to do. The end of democracy. Remember the bunch of them did that before the 2016 election?
Right. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Those people of all, you would have to do something like that with Biden.
Well, what's interesting about Biden is they put him in kind of because they kind of stacked the Democratic primary. They killed the momentum of Sanders. And there was a lot of people. Biden was like very behind and then sprung out at the end.
They manipulated it. Just like they did with Hillary. Just like Donna Brazile wrote about in her book.
They manipulated it to get him in. And it's just weird to me that when everyone sees it so clearly and Trump is up in every poll, why they wouldn't just have him go out, give a very patriotic speech about, you know what? I thought I could do it. But now I can't. I thought I was okay.
Because there's no one other than her. So if you try to
put her in again,
if you try to promote her as president against Trump, Democrats are going to vote for Trump.
She should lose one more time.
But she's going to lose in a way that's
it's crazy. No, they have nobody else. That's the other thing.
But the thing is, he should lose in a way that's crazy if you're looking at like competence because he's so old. But people will vote for him just because the machine behind him has kept the country
It's still
relatively okay.
Yeah.
You're still going out to dinner. You're still
Right.
taking plane flights. For
For
time
sure.
being. No
Yeah.
aliens have landed.
Not yet.
You know, Ukraine hasn't spilled over into America. It's all okay.
Not yet.
Kind of. Right? So you would probably, especially if you're one of those celebrities that made that video about Trump,
Right.
you can't turn course now.
No.
Those people, that's out there forever. You
Yeah.
know? Remember those?
Well, it's also, I think,
Imagine those,
older.
There's no heaven.
Yeah. There's no,
Imagine that? Remember that one?
I think older people kind of like, some of them like it because they go, yeah, well, good for him. There's a lot of older people that don't want to step down.
Like when white guys want a white heavyweight
That's
boxing
exactly
champion.
right. And there's a lot of old people that go, I'm not going to retire.
Right.
I'm not going to step down. I don't want to go into assisted living.
Remember Frankie, he made that pie till the day he died.
Yeah.
Till the day he died.
Yeah.
He was 102 years old. He put the basil on, dropped dead.
Yeah. I think they look at this guy and they say, good for him.
Yeah.
He's one of us.
There's a little bit of that going on.
He's one of us.
I definitely think there's a little bit of that going on. I don't think that's
Trump will beat him, I think, from jail.
Yeah, 100%.
Trump will win.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to cry election fraud, but why would I imagine that they would manipulate everything openly except the election?
But this is what
you know what I'm saying?
But this is what I'm saying to you. Is it not possible that they haven't gone off Joe Biden because there was some fuckery in the last election?
Well,
is it not possible to some degree that they have this rabid insistence on this clearly dementia-ridden guy because their promises have been made and there are people in positions of power that could speak? I don't know anything.
That's a possibility. I mean, it's just a guess, right? Who knows?
I'm just asking the kinds of questions that people on Twitter will call me a name for asking. But
you got to stop reading that.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I
don't read it.
Boy, that's a nice. Once you break yourself.
No, I know.
Free of that,
I'm not on it as much.
You feel so much better. Lex goes into a dark hole every few days.
I know. Well, it's
I hope he doesn't read the stuff about the Kevin Spacey interview.
Life is dark. He's interviewing Spacey?
He already did, yeah.
God damn it, we wanted Spacey.
You can get
I
Spacey.
wanted Spacey.
You can get Spacey.
I know, but then I'm the fifth person to have Spacey.
Listen, you'll be the most fun.
I know Weinstein's coming here first. I know you're going to have him as soon as he gets out of jail.
He's never getting out of jail.
I hope he does.
I don't think he's ever getting out.
By the way, he should.
Isn't he in jail for the rest of his life?
No, it's turning around, Joe.
What do you mean?
It's turning around.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you don't know.
Oh,
What?
you don't know?
What? What's going on?
They just overturned all of his convictions.
What?
Well, get some of what I'm.
What?
But
Are you
I'm
fucking
telling
kidding me?
you?
Something like that.
The prosecutors in the Harvey Weinstein case were encouraging the whatever you want to call them, right? The people,
Victims.
the victims, and yes, and they are victims. But she was encouraging them to just. When I was a juror on a murder trial, and you're instructed as a juror. This was years ago, but you're instructed to only consider the facts of the case. You can only discuss the facts of the case. These victims were out there, and they were permitted and encouraged by a very overzealous prosecutor to share things that weren't related to the case. And the fact that the jury could have based their here it is.
Wednesday's hearing ahead of Weinstein's retrial comes just over a month after the New York Court of Appeals, by a 4-3 vote, ruled the testimony of prior bad acts witnesses should not have been allowed because it was unnecessary to establish defendant's intent and served only to establish defendant's propensity to commit the crimes charged. He was convicted in the 2020 of first-degree criminal sexual assault and third-degree rape, and then he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. He has maintained his innocence. So what are they saying now?
So he's got a retrial.
They have a retrial.
They're going to do a retrial.
Wow. How old is he now? Because he looked fucking terrible before he was going into jail. He was walking around with a cane and a
He's
walker.
in his early 70s, but this is when directors do their best work. No, truly.
But he's not a director.
Right, producers, whatever. I have confidence in him, is what I'm saying. I think
You
if
think
he
he's
gets
gonna get out and kick some ass?
I think he gets out. He's got a lot to prove.
Do you think they'll let him work? They're not even letting
Hollywood
Spacey work.
believes in nothing. They will absolutely let him work. They will let him work, and he should work if the retrial happens and they let him and it doesn't work. It is what it is, you know.
Wow.
You
Imagine
know,
if he gets out. Imagine if it was all bullshit.
Well, I don't know how. It's like
It couldn't be.
that time.
Well, they
that
all
we
did
lived
it.
through.
Yeah.
It was this moral panic. And
right.
I'm
right.
not
the
saying
time
that-
of you mean the time of Me Too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything that got that happened there.
Was
When
it
it
say?
originally happened, it says here he had a separate 16-year sentence that is not affected by this decision in California.
Oh, so there's another case
this
which he was
is-
also sentenced to.
So the New York trial has been
So he'll be transferred to a California prison? Oh, he's fucked. No matter what, he's fucked.
unless they do that one
So
too.
those guys, that was what they did. But the crazy thing about him is he looked like that guy that would do that.
He looked exactly like the guy that behaved the way that he behaved.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Dave Chappelle had a bit about it.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, he raped."
Right. No,
like
for
looking at
sure.
him, like you look at a guy. But it's the other thing about him that's it's so crazy is how many photographs of famous people were with him and how many people thanked him when they
Yeah.
won the award.
Of course.
It's so and how it was this open secret, but it's just like they accepted this deal with the devil. Like the devil's going to make you a star if you suck his dick, and
Yeah.
apparently that's what he would do.
Yeah.
Whitney told me that there was girls that he knew, that she knew rather, that did the deal, and it was a deal. Like you suck his dick, he's going to get you in this movie, and they sucked his dick and they got in the movie. Like he
Right.
would hold up his end of the bargain,
Right.
which is one of the reasons why he was so powerful because he
Yeah.
really could. He wasn't just banging everybody. He really was.
Well, let's say this though, and
Making
we're-
people famous.
We think that's negative, but let's say him upholding his end of the deal is something.
It's a little
Like if he
something.
puts you in
Yeah.
the movie. I think a
Right.
lot of these, by the way, all of the famous people he did it to didn't really come out against him.
No, because they can't. Because then if they tell the truth, like,
Yeah.
you
They
know.
were kind of, because that was kind of a deal that was made. Not good, but that was a deal. And he made good on some of those promises.
He made good on a lot of them, apparently. This
Yeah.
is just from what I heard.
Right.
But, Tarantino was telling us about this old school Hollywood producer who
Yeah.
had a bedroom in his office.
Sure.
So you would go into his office, and this
Yeah.
is like, in the 60s or whatever. So he had his office, and then he had a whole bedroom
Right.
in his studio.
Yeah.
Where he would bang all the starlets. Like,
Yeah.
if you wanted to be a star,
This
you
is
had to
it.
bang that guy. Which
Well-
is just the deal with the devil that has always been that business.
That's always been there. There's always been there. It's like why people start cults.
yeah.
They always end up being sex cults, right? All these
100%
cults.
of the time.
All of these guys on Netflix, it ends up
all
being
of 'em.
creepy and sexual.
Yep, all of them.
That's part of it. And I think if you have that kind of power and people, and you've got a steady stream of people walking in your door.
Yeah, and you're also doing this very specific thing where you're choosing the most beautiful people to be in these incredible films.
Right.
I mean, think about the movies that fucking guy made. Kill Bill.
Some of the best in the world.
Pulp Fiction. Like you just go down the
Let
line.
him out.
So many times I've seen a movie. Oh, Miramax, of course.
Yeah.
They made insane movies, and
They were
made
like
it,
the Weinstein company. They were the best.
yeah, and they
Some of the best.
just did it with the devil.
They did it with the devil.
Yeah,
They did it with
they
the devil.
used the devil's
You watch an old Woody Allen movie, you go, I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know what happened. I go, I don't want to believe he's guilty, but can I still enjoy the movie or not? And then some of them, it is a little different. You watch it and you go, it is. I hope he's not guilty, but there's a good chance he's guilty. And there's a documentary that's
all of it's not good.
All of it's not good.
Even if it's like your neighbor's daughter,
Yes.
and you've known her since she was 2, and then you wind up marrying her, that's kind of crazy.
It's not
if
great,
you were an
yeah.
adult with children and your neighbor had a Duchess. But then again, you know, part of your brain goes, okay, but like, what if you really were in love? Like, what if really
Right.
she really was the next door neighbor, and really you were 60 and she was 30 and she loved you?
Right. Or if
Is
your
that
wife
okay?
had adopted her from Cambodia.
That makes it more
and
complicated.
you raised her, but loved her still.
That's the next level.
That is
what I was going to say.
not
Like,
ideal.
That you can't.
Yeah, we'll say
you
that.
Can't.
It's
You
not
can-
ideal.
You can look at the neighbor and say,
Sure.
well, maybe you weren't close with the neighbor's daughter. Now she's
I
a
know.
grown woman. She has agency. She's a
I
woman.
know.
She loves you.
But you know what's funny
But you
about
can't say that about a
No.
kid that you fucking raised.
you can't marry a kid you raised.
No.
You can't marry a kid you raised.
But did he raise her? Did he see her like every couple days? Like,
I don't know. However, we can still watch Annie Hall.
I can't.
Is there any way to still watch Annie Hall?
No.
I don't know. Probably not. It's hard.
You can, but you're gonna know the whole time. It's like watching House of Cards. You're like, what? How many?
Yeah, but I can watch House of Cards because he's playing the guy he was.
Right.
That's perfect.
Right.
I like that. Kevin Spacey doesn't even exist. He's barely a person. He's such a good actor. He's become the thing. He always plays people kind of like that. Kaiser Soze, Frank Underwood. He's become the thing. And he's so good at it that it doesn't ruin it for me. I can watch House of Cards.
There is an arrogance that some stars had, like particularly in the 90s. When I first came to Hollywood, and this is like really evident for me because I was not a star, but I was on a television show. So I got to be around a lot of stars. And there was a way that some of them would treat you. They would let you know that you are subhuman. You are below them. They would communicate with you in the most disrespectful and dismissive ways, like weird, fucking weird, like mousy guys that I could kill, like instantly, and they would just be rude to you in a really weird way because they had power. They had power, and then when an executive would come over, they would turn on the charm. They'd be smiling and laughing, and then you would talk to them at the craft service, and they would fucking dismiss you in the shittiest ways. I encountered a bunch of that.
Yeah.
It was commonplace, and it was, I think, a thing that they aspired to, especially a lot of the guys that came from Saturday Night Live. Like when Phil came over from Saturday Night Live, Phil Hartman, when he was on News Radio, that was the first thing he did after Saturday Night Live, and he had like his defenses up. Like, I remember he was like a little like standoffish in the beginning, kind of shitty to us. Like, he was the big star, and he was. And, Dave Foley was a pretty big star too. And the rest of us were kind of, no one really knew who we were. And after a while, he relaxed, and he would tell me about it. And he was like, it's great here. We all have fun. But God, on Saturday Night Live, everybody was stabbing everybody in the back. And it was all, everybody was, people were getting people fired that were like his assistants. Just because they wanted to fuck him over, they would steal people's things, and it was just like really shitty. And it took a while for him to chill out. And then I got to meet some of those people that he was talking about and interact with them, and they did the same thing to me. Yeah, there was some shitty fucking people out of that. This star culture. Yeah, and they would be the ones that were the royalty, and everyone else was a peasant. It was really fucking creepy.
Interesting.
So I think, if you're like an old school dick grabber and you're also a Hollywood icon, right? You probably are doing that. You're probably doing that Hollywood thing where everybody else is just there for you. Everybody else is just...
Should we maybe wall off Hollywood and just go, listen...
Let them go wild.
They're just all sexual predators. Like
Jurassic Park.
It's Jurassic Park. Can't we do that? Can't we say... Enter at your own risk. They make great movies, but occasionally they're going to goose you. They may throw you against a wall.
Yeah.
I mean, if you train for the Navy SEALs, some people drown. Can't we just do that? Because the other way isn't working where everyone's nice and good. Yeah. Everyone can't be nice and good and have really good art. I don't think. I'm not saying everyone has to be killing everyone.
No, I mean, Ron Howard seems to be really nice and good.
But I watched the Spacey documentary, by the way, and some of it is like, okay, he's clearly did the wrong thing. And then some of it, these guys are like, because they wanted things from him, they're like, we went to the movies and he started jerking off next to me. It's like, okay, dude, well, then this is not a guy to hang with. And then the next thing they say is, and then he invited me to a party at his hotel, and he said Bruce Willis would be there. So I went. And you go, well, we can't feel bad for you.
Right.
Because you're trying to climb on the basis of knowing this guy.
You are playing the game.
That's right.
You're playing the game.
You're playing the game.
You're dancing with the devil.
You're dancing with the devil.
You're going to lunch with Harvey.
You're going to lunch with Harvey. You want it. So to me, it's like they're not sympathetic in the way that, like, other people are, whether it's sexual assault in the military or in the workplace or whatever, where people are not actively trying to better their chances of being famous by knowing this guy.
Right. It's a complicated thing with Spacey, right? Because apparently some of the alleged people are like people that he worked, like, like a grip on a set, or a guy who has to drive him to.
Yeah.
It was just wild. Apparently.
Yes.
But this is allegedly.
Right. And then some of those people died before they could testify.
Do you think you could play a guy like Frank Underwood if there's not a little bit of that inside you somewhere?
No. Probably not. Probably not. You know, he had a really rough life.
Did he?
And his father was a Nazi pedophile.
Oh my God.
This is true.
Oh my God.
And his father was all of Twitter, but no, he was a Nazi pedophile. He would rape them and make them watch the Nazi stuff. I know I sound like I'm lying a lot, and I am a lot, but this is true. You can look this up.
Oh God.
His brother is a Rod Stewart impersonator.
Oh God.
It wasn't great the way that it went for anybody over there.
Jesus Christ. According to Kevin Spacey, he was raised by a relentlessly abusive neo-Nazi father. Wow. Spent his dinners making anti-Semitic comments which terrified his children. Wow.
Yes, and worse than beating and raping them, he was anti-Semitic.
Wow.
So he was really bad.
Is that, say that in here? The raping part?
I believe, from what I know,
that's his brother? The Rod Stewart impression?
that he was a very abusive.
Damn, brother's fucking got it nailed.
The brother is really dialed.
Boy, if I saw that dude at fucking...
he's dialed.
Yeah, if I was like somewhere, I'd be like, holy shit, Rod Stewart?
Look at this. He alleges his father frequently raped and beat him. I mean, I'm not making it up.
Oh my
It's
God,
terrible.
frequently raped and beat him. Oh, why didn't they put that in the title? Like, just the anti-Semitic comments, that seems like the least of the problem.
For the way they grew up, let's be charitable, they turned out good.
Right.
They
the guy
turned out
won
well.
multiple Academy Awards.
He's a very talented man, and his brother, I'm sure, does a great Maggie May.
Yeah.
For
It's
the way they were
interesting.
raised. Everybody has to be judged a little bit with a backstory.
I love that Lex Friedman has the courage to interview anybody.
Well,
Like
Lex is
anybody.
one of those guys who genuinely is like, he knows what his intentions are.
Yes.
And he's very comfortable with himself. And that's why he can talk to all these people.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
he's always
they're
coming from a
genuine.
good place. Always.
Even Kanye, in the heat of everything, Lex had him on.
Yeah. No,
And
because
Bill Maher did a whole
Yeah.
episode and said, I'm not releasing it.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I can't wait. Kanye, Spacey, can we do an election? Because there's going to be an election. I'm angling to get back in here with Kanye and Spacey and Weinstein from jail.
I would get
and
you in
maybe
here
Trump.
with Kanye, but it would probably turn bad because you talk too much.
I know.
With Kanye, you got to let him talk.
I know.
Because like there was moments where I
I'd
was
let him
talking.
talk.
There was moments where I was talking. Kanye was like, he has so much to say. I mean, listen, that madness inside of him was why his fucking songs are bangers. They're just banger after banger. His fucking new album's amazing. It's amazing, dude. We play in the green room all the time. And all my Spotify playlist, I think there's more Kanye songs than anything.
He's a genius. And what you have to realize with people that are incredibly gifted is a lot of that comes with some real downsides.
Yeah.
And they can't be judged maybe the same way you judge every other person.
Well,
I know
mean,
that
they gotta
sounds
follow
bad.
the laws. You can't be out there murdering people.
You can't do that. They got to follow the laws. But if he says something crazy,
Yeah.
it's also like you got to look at like what you've gotten from him and all of this great music. Let
Yes.
him have a tirade every now and then. Just
Yeah.
let him have a little.
Well, it's like he's his own enemy.
Yeah.
It's just like he can't, the rants just go.
I know.
They just come flying out, and who knows how much of it he's really even committed to until he says it. And then once he's saying it, then he's really committed. And then, he shows up statistics. Like he held up this thing about, it was showing on his phone all of the different people that are running all the different music companies and how many of them are Jewish.
right.
He's like, they run the media, they run this, they run that. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to say about that? If they are facts, if these people are all Jewish. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing something evil. Just, if you buy pizza, a lot of the people selling it are Italian.
I will
they've
say
been in
that
this
the
business.
Jews seem to have made better choices than the Irish, my people.
Well, they're really good at running show business.
Yeah, I can't point to any list of people and go, and they're all Irish. There's not one group. and go and look and McDonough and O'Brien.
Right. Like Italians, like my people. What other than food?
Someone said a teacher I had in community college. You take it with a grain of salt, but said that Italians were very focused on the family, and they were skeptical of institutions. So they started small businesses, whereas Jewish people were more open to institutions, and that's why a lot of them are overrepresented in academia, politics, and media.
Well, the Italians are fleeing communism too.
Right. So
Yeah.
Italians were skeptical of the government. They were skeptical, and they wanted to have their little pork stores and stuff. And that's good.
And it's also Catholic, very family oriented.
Catholic, all that.
If you date an Italian girl, you got to meet everybody.
That's right.
You can't be just showing up at her house like some regular white guy.
And the Irish were drunks and sexually abused.
A little bit.
And they did the best they could.
They did the best
They did the
Made
best
good
they
boxers.
could. Everyone's doing the best they can.
Yeah. Well, we're all coming out
president.
of chaos.
Yeah.
The reality of human beings in this country is this fucking country is 3 people's old.
Right.
That's it. 3 people.
That's crazy to think about.
3 people. That's the reality of this country. China is 400 people old.
Right.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
We don't have our shit together yet. And we started off with a really good idea that didn't anticipate technology. And then technology got involved in terms of like stock trading, and then influences of campaigns. Nobody anticipated the lobbyists, special interest groups. Nobody anticipated the military-industrial complex until Eisenhower talked about it on TV. Just all these things got in the way of the original idea. That they had a great fucking idea of how to make sure that no one ever becomes a dictator and that the will of the people gets served. They had a great idea.
And now they have an idea where everyone can kind of be a dictator. So that's not the worst idea. You can be a little dictator.
Well, what they really didn't anticipate is the power that technology companies have.
Yeah.
That's what's...
They own your thoughts, dreams, hopes,
everything.
fears. Mm-hmm. They have burrowed into your life more than any of the robber barons could, more than any of those guys. Morgan or Rockefeller, Carnegie.
They've gotten insanely wealthy just from your data.
Absolutely.
And then convincing you have to buy a new phone every year.
And they're helping you.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, right? They're utopians, and they believe they're creating a truly better world.
And they're helping you. It makes your life better.
And they're making your life better, and you do. And these are things that make your life more convenient and easier.
Yeah. How great is Google Maps or Waze?
So when they tell you it's more convenient to just not have this discussion or not be able to say a certain term or not be able to, then you
just comply.
You comply and you go, okay.
I don't want to start any trouble.
I don't want to start an issue. I like Postmates.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
I like Airbnb.
Well, sure. What's failing now? It's over now. It's all over now.
I met one of the guys. Who did I fuck?
Well, someone, I don't know if it was you, but someone said, and this is really nice, someone tried to get me back and they were like, no. Someone met a big guy, and it might have been you. Someone was like, I
think it was me.
Yeah, somebody was like, what about getting like a guy like Tim Dillon back on? And they were like, no.
They're fucking up. They're making a big mistake.
Well, that issue that I had was all about the redundancy of cleaning fees. Why would I pay a fee and then clean?
Yeah.
This has now become a rallying call for millions of brave Americans to hold Airbnb accountable for what they've been doing. Forget the trafficking, people showing up to the house in the middle of the night trying to rip you out of it. This is true. Single women go on bachelorette parties all the time. Guys knock on the door at 3 a.m. It's not safe. A lot of the people who host, like have Airbnbs, have weird cameras set up. It's a little
there's been a
voyeuristic.
bunch of that.
It is strange.
There's also someone had an interesting scam where they were renting a house and they were using that house as an Airbnb house. And
Of
they got in
course.
trouble. When they're probably making money off of the rental.
That's right.
You think about how much a house costs to rent. If it's like $2,000 a month, and you could Airbnb it for $500 a night, or
Yes.
what's Airbnb cost?
I
for
don't
a
know.
house.
It's been
Back in the
years,
day.
but it's by about 400. Something like that.
So you would probably make a lot of money.
Yeah, there's
You'd
a
be
lot
able
of
to
that.
Pay your mortgage easy, and then you could do that with multiple houses, and you got income constantly coming in.
And I think they interviewed the CEO recently. They interviewed him, and he was basically like, listen, we're trying to design your trips. Like, they're trying to figure out ways to get competitive again. Because they're like, we know people are going back to hotels. We know it's gotten too expensive.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's gotten too expensive. People are like, we don't understand why we'd pay all of this money to have all of these rules when we could just go to a hotel. It's easy.
Right.
And we don't have to worry about anger. You get a report card. Airbnb is a report card. Nobody wants that on a trip.
You get a report card for like how good you did or bad you did. Whether
you
or
have
not
people
you
writing
made a mess.
reviews about you. Is that fun? You go on a vacation, somebody's going to write a review, some psychopath.
Oh, so like you could like take a giant shit and forget to flush it, and then
It's
you get
over.
a bad review.
Then they trash you.
Just a simple mistake.
A simple mistake. And
forgot to flush.
Stay out of people's homes.
Yeah.
This is the real reality.
Yeah.
Stay out of people.
Stay
If
in a
you're
hotel.
over 30,
Yeah.
you can no longer stay with people. Put it this way. Let's give them till 35 or 40. You have to get a hotel.
Yeah.
You can't get a hotel. You cannot stay with a friend, and you don't need to get an Airbnb with 7 people.
Yeah, I always get weirded out when people like to just stay with different friends in every town. I'm like,
no.
do you like being annoying?
Yeah, that's done now. You
You annoying
can't
people?
stay with anyone anymore. You go to a hotel. That's nice.
Like an adult.
It's like an adult. You go, this was nice. Goodbye. You need to say the word goodbye, and then you got to go to a hotel. Otherwise, people are like, they feel uncomfortable in their own home. They do not want you there.
It's kind of crazy that Airbnb, that's another thing that popped up out of nowhere that nobody saw coming. That was a disruptor.
yeah.
That and Uber, right?
Yeah.
Uber was a big one. Popped up, but no one would have thought that everybody would become a cab driver for extra money.
Well, it coincided with like this rise of the gig economy where people are like, I can work. I
Yeah.
own a car. I
Yeah.
can work, and I can make money through this app. And
you can not have
yeah.
a boss.
Exactly.
Like one of the things I loved about delivering newspapers when I was a kid was, I did it when I was in my teens and 20s. It's like you could just go to the place, pick up the paper. You did your work, but you could listen to the radio. No one's in your ear. No one's talking to you. You're by yourself. As long as you get your job done, you're good. And if you're an Uber guy, I don't have to go to a fucking office somewhere. I just pick this dude up and take him to the airport.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Thank you. Thanks for the tip. Bye.
Easy.
Drive away. Be a nice guy. Try to keep your car clean.
That's right.
You can make money, and you don't have to listen to anybody.
And they're having fun. Some of those guys are having fun all day, listening to hateful podcasts, perhaps mine.
Listen to this.
Listening, smoking cigs in their
People listening
car.
to this right now.
Yeah, people listening to it right now, going, "I'm enjoying my life. I'm having fun."
There's someone in the backseat going, "Fucking Tim Dillon, shut
up. I hate his
What he did to
stupid
Meghan
voice.
McCain was so rude.
What he did to all of these people, all of these
So rude.
innocent people,
So fucking rude.
innocent, good billionaires.
Speaking of innocent, did you see Fauci? Did you see the?
When he came out,
Did you see the
the leaked tapes.
Oh, not
Yeah.
just the leaked tapes, but him getting grilled in
Oh,
Congress.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God,
Was it bad? Was it brutal?
it's horrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Jim Jordan got him lying under oath. He's just, no matter what they catch him with, he tries to find a way to weasel out of saying that he said that, including saying mandating masks, shutting down schools, locking everything down, closing businesses,
Right.
forcing people to get the vaccine. All of it is on tape. He said
it's
all of it.
It seems to be, again, it's the gaslighting thing where people go, we can just now come out and say that we never actually said any of that.
It's crazy him saying that, though. And
Yeah.
not just saying that, but even when they catch him saying that, that's not what I was referring to.
Right.
Like, that's exactly what you're referring
it's
to. There's
exactly.
there's no ambiguity at all
Yeah.
about any of the things you're saying. And
Yeah.
then also the gain of function research. They deleted a bunch of emails. There's all these emails from his assistant talking about how to go in separate channels to talk about this stuff and how to skirt around the Freedom of Information Act.
Right.
And then fucking Peter Hotez talking about deleting emails.
Yeah.
They all knew what the fuck they were doing, man. They
No.
were all very aware that they were going to be investigated eventually.
There should be a commission on this whole thing, but just like the 9/11 commission would probably be set up to fail, and that's what the commissioner said. That's not what I'm saying.
Well,
It's
even if Trump
genuine.
gets into office, how could it be? Because he was the guy.
Right.
He put warp speed in place.
That's right.
Fauci was behind him at press conferences.
I think that's his biggest vulnerability, ironically, Trump, is that a lot of people don't trust him because of that period.
Well,
with
he hasn't
the vaccine.
He hasn't corrected course,
Right.
Because it's very difficult for him to ever say that he's wrong, right?
He doesn't like saying he's wrong.
So for him to correct course, for him to look at the studies that are coming out of the UK and Europe about excess deaths and where they're a little bit more honest about what the fuck is going on,
Yeah.
because they have socialized medicine,
Right.
Like there's a lot more going on over there than is going on over here.
There's
over
so
here,
much about protecting pharma here.
Yeah, but with so much money.
Right.
I mean, so much money invested in advertising. I mean, everything gets advertised by it, whether it's internet shows.
Yeah.
There's fucking so many television shows. I mean, that montage, I'm sure you've seen it, brought to you by Pfizer.
Right.
The CNN one. That's fucking nuts, man.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's so much. There's so much money involved in this that these people just keep their fucking mouth shut because these people aren't real journalists on television.
No.
You see that when Chris Cuomo has to debate Dave Smith.
Right.
What they are is mouthpieces for whatever the fuck is the network.
They're actors.
Yeah. They're doing
They're like
what
actors.
and they think they're journalists, which is
Right.
hilarious. Like when you see, like when Elon Musk sat down with Don Lemon, and you realize, you're not, and like Don said it, or Elon said it best rather. He said Don is doing CNN outside of CNN.
Right.
Like that's like what he thinks talking to people is.
Yeah. No, they're actors, they're showpieces, and they're mouthpieces for usually corporate America, and quite often whatever party makes corporate America feel cozy at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bizarre merging of commerce and the news.
Yeah.
That should have never, that's another thing no one saw coming, right? The founding fathers, they never saw that level of propaganda being possible, that you would have funded propaganda that was working step by step with the government.
It's gotten to be, but you know what? It's watching it fall apart over the last few years has been really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it is falling apart.
Oh, well, it has to.
You are watching these guys and you go, they are convincing nobody. I mean, I'm sure they're still convincing some people, but most free-thinking people, most people that don't have an investment in it are looking at it, it feels fake.
Yeah.
It all feels fake. I think people are starting to question it more than they ever have. I don't think the government will ever fully recover from the pandemic in terms of trust levels.
Right.
With all those kids who had to do proms in a car or wear masks jogging on a track. Mm-hmm. I don't think those kids ever look at the government the same way, and that's probably good.
It's good.
I think that's good.
It's good, and the thing is, like, young kids are paying attention to what is going on now in a way that they know that it's going to affect their life. They pay attention to the government like these fucking idiots. They're going to affect my life because they affected their life.
That's right.
They did it to their parents. Like, how many of these young kids saw parents lose jobs, saw divorces happen, suicides in the family, breakups, drug addiction? So many fucking things happen that didn't have to happen that were brought on because of the lockdowns. And because of the pandemic and the government's mandating things. And how many people did they know that got health problems because of the vaccine? How many people did they know died young? Everybody knows something.
No, and I think they're more likely now to have a skeptical view of the government.
Which is good.
And I think they understand more probably the value of... Now, I don't know if they're going to understand this in every area, but what propaganda is, how it kind of functions, and how to be aware and cognizant of the fact that there are people that are shaping and sculpting the narrative and shoving it down your throat.
Yeah.
I think there's more people now questioning things, especially young kids are questioning stuff about the war machine and the war economy more than they ever have before, and going like, why are we involved here? And why are we funding this? And why are we doing that? And I think people are, and that doesn't mean they're sloppy, obviously. They're not getting everything right, but they're out there. And
they're also being heavily manipulated.
Yeah.
Which is, something that's been discussed with a bunch of people on the show, where we talked about, like, with GADSAD in particular, like who's behind all of these protests at the universities? Like, they're organized. And they're organized a lot by Soros-funded groups and a bunch of different groups that they organize these things to get a narrative very popular.
Yes.
And that it's all, the whole thing is just disruptive. That's the key. The key is to get people upset.
Right.
To keep people disrupted. And to further erode our idea that we have any kind of control whatsoever about what goes on.
I went to one of those protests at UCLA.
How was it?
It was fun. It's young people. They're trying to enjoy themselves.
Is that what it was?
It kind of felt like that.
Like a little festive?
It didn't feel like Hamas had taken over the college. Like, I know that it felt like there were people there that were clearly probably pro-Hamas, right? As a, whatever you want to call them, as a group.
Right.
But then it felt like there was a lot of kids there that just saw what was going on in Gaza, and they were like, we are against America funding that. And they went out to do that, and they wanted to, in the best way that they knew how, express how upset they were. Now, you know, you can't destroy property. You can't commandeer areas. These are all areas where in a civil society you can't do those things. But I think a lot of the people, their reaction to a lot of what was going on was probably heavily manipulated, but some of it was organic. Some
It's
of them
also
were
they're just trying to be good people.
seeing it on TikTok going like,
Genocide
we're
is
seeing
bad.
kids being killed,
Yeah.
and we're paying for it,
Yeah.
and we should do something. And the more people I spoke to, I was like, yeah, I didn't think that they were. I thought probably a lot of them were a little naive about certain things, but they're in college.
Right.
So that's okay.
Everybody's naive in college.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a thing to be a good person. You want to go out and support the good thing. What's
Yes.
the good thing? Free Palestine. Yes.
That's right.
They should be free.
Yeah.
From the river to the sea. Which river, which sea?
No one knows.
Who
No
cares?
one knows.
That's
No
not
one
what's
knows.
important. What's important is I'm out here because, you know, Debbie's really progressive and she's hot. You want some coffee?
Yeah, please.
Debbie's really progressive and she's hot and I'm
Right.
trying to impress her.
Well, that's and listen. There's a fun. I enjoyed it.
Cheers,
They had, you know, it seemed fun. I took a few selfies with them. They were good people. And then they were like the
You
cops.
got recognized.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, and then the kids were like, you had Abby Martin on, and I was like, thank you, you know, whatever, thank you. And they were very nice. And then and then they were like, well, the cops are coming in. We think they're coming in with rubber bullets, and you
out
know,
of there, dude.
hoses and everything. And I said, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, you have to put your breakfast order on the door by 1 a.m. And I explained that to the kids. I said, and they'll know to bring the egg and everything. I said, I can't be here during the onslaught of the police activity, but you guys should. I even said that. I go, you guys should, and lock arms, do that stuff, because you only live once and you're only a kid once, and make these cops work. Who cares? Lock arms, but I had to go. I can't be.
Did you see what happened in Philly when the Gay Pride Parade met Free Palestine? And they
It was a fight.
clashed?
Yeah, it was a clash.
They clashed.
Kurt Metzger would call that, the great Kurt Metzger would call that, I believe, an intersectional car crash.
It was funny. They were saying you can't march because Palestine's not free. You got to stop right here.
Yeah.
We're more important. This is more important.
It was
than you
weird
being
watching
happy.
it because they were like, there's no joy. No one should be happy. I think Pride is very silly that it's a whole month. That's very silly. If you look at what was done to black people and you look at what was done to gay people, it's insane that Pride is a full month. A couple of weekends, maybe one or two. The idea that it's a full month is nuts.
Well, how about there's only Veterans Day?
Right. There's one day for veterans, and there's an entire
Memorial
month.
Day. There's Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
And what the month of Pride allows people to do is it allows corporations to just talk about, you know, how down they are with fisting. That's really all it is.
Why
It's
don't
just
we have a
Capital
Veterans
One
Month?
going, you come, it's like we will, you can, and I say that as an out gay guy who has no problem with people going to Pride parades and having fun. I don't think 9-year-olds should be there.
How old do you think is the cutoff?
I mean, when your kids are in their teens, perhaps, if they're in their older teens, I just think kids should be.
Legal teens, you mean?
No, I mean, I don't
High
think a
school teens?
13-year-old needs to be there either. I think
17?
17 is
17 and know he's gay.
17, or they could just 17 and they're like
Curious?
mature enough to handle what's going on.
Are they, though?
I don't know, but I mean, it depends. Like, again,
I'm not mature enough to handle what's going on in the Pride Parade.
Well, I don't know.
sometimes.
The Pride parades have gone off the chain. I mean, they've gone off the chain. But, you know, people dressing up like dogs and stuff is crazy.
Congressman.
But, like, to me, I've always felt that, like, if you're going to go out and have a party where people are getting drunk and hooking up and dancing, anybody who's legally underage shouldn't be there. So 17 is right on the cusp, and then 18 and everything is fine. But to me, it's like I don't think it belongs for kids. That's clearly it doesn't belong for kids.
Well, people want to do it to show their kids tolerance and acceptance.
But
and so they bring
you
their
don't
kids.
have. That's not. I
That's
think
not how
people
you
want
have to do it. It's very sexualized. That's
It's
the thing
very
about
sexualized.
pride is like, yeah, sure, you should celebrate the fact that gays are free to get married and they have all the same rights as everybody else, as they should. But it's sexual.
Yes.
It's like a lot of guys with thongs on.
Well, it's like spring break,
Yeah,
right?
it's wild.
It's like, would you take your 10-year-old to spring break to show to teach them tolerance? No,
Right.
You wouldn't do that. That's kind of straight pride. Spring break is a bunch of people going to get fucked up in Florida,
Right.
And they're going to fight each other and have sex. And you wouldn't take your young children to see that. I don't see the reason to take your kids to a highly sexualized parade.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You want to take them to an event that's not as sexualized? Like maybe a mother would tell her kids, like, your father's getting an award. He's gay. He's getting an award. That's why it didn't work out with us. Your father's gay. He's a faggot, and we're watching him get an award tonight.
How many of those
because he wrote a book?
poor bastards are out there in marriages right now that are
Probably a lot. There's probably a lot of
just
them.
trapped. Just
But
can't
you know
be
what it
themselves.
is? Nothing's great. You probably have a fine wife. Nothing's great. Listen, continue to do things on the DL. Just don't give her AIDS. And this is not a popular thing to say it during Pride. There's so many political attachments to being gay now. If you're a closeted guy, just fuck your wife once a month, cheat on her, don't give her AIDS, and just keep the family tight. And I know that that's probably not popular, but I mean, now's not it's just, if you're 60, are you going to come out? I mean, do we really need people coming out in their 70s? Do we need this? To be very honest, there's a window of which you can get honest. If you don't, double down on the lie. I think that's a great strategy for all of life. I think there's a window to be honest.
Right.
It's not forever.
Right.
Nobody wants somebody coming out in their 50s, 60s. It's like,
Or like
enough
on their
already.
deathbed.
Yeah, it's on their deathbed. Oh, so now you've lied the whole time?
Right.
Just keep it a secret. Just keep it a secret.
Not a bad piece of advice.
It's not a bad piece of advice. Happy Pride. But it is. I do feel that way. I think that,
For some people.
Yeah.
Some people probably can't handle a change.
Yeah, some people.
The big shift.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's I mean.
Big shift.
It's also weird now because people, it's like, what are you coming out as? If you want to have sex with dudes, or you want to have sex with women, and then you're like, okay, so then, okay, I'm gay or lesbian, but then you're like, what is the LGBTQIA2 thing? What is that flag?
You could be a two-spirit.
Two-spirit, yeah.
That's what two is.
The fact that we allow that is hilarious.
No, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And I like how A's in there.
The asexuals.
Like you're asexual.
Yeah.
You don't have a fucking dog in this race.
If you go, okay, so I have this, and then I have a flag I don't understand. Nobody understands the flag.
Keeps getting bigger.
Indigenous?
Keeps changing.
What a white gay people, and I'm not saying indigenous people don't have issues, but what do white gay people have anything to do with the indigenous community? Like,
They're just
why
trying
would
to develop a gang.
Yeah, it's right. It's like, why would they pretend to understand like what indigenous people go
Right.
through?
How did the I get in there? It used to be we were making fun of putting the trans people and
Yes.
the lesbians in with the gays.
Yes.
Which are very different things.
Well, lesbians are going away. Barry Weiss is the final lesbian. Did you know that?
No.
She's the final one. That's it.
The final countdown.
That's it. Barry Weiss. It's it. And do you know in Israel they canceled the Pride Parade this year?
Why?
Because their gay pride flag, they made the yellow, I think, bigger because of the hostages.
Oh, wow.
So they would not have a gay pride parade. And they're also using all the material that they would have used in the pride parade to carpet bomb civilian areas of Rafah. But here's the point. All of the fireworks and stuff are directly being shot at babies' faces who are homophobic and should go. Because, by the way, that's the whole thing they're doing over there.
Yeah.
Where they go, if like they just bombed a school, and Israel's got to stop doing this all the time. Every now and then, when I grew up, Israel would bomb a school every now and then, and people would go, oh, it was not all the time. Now they're doing it too much, and it's making people upset. When I grew up, it was a nice thing. Every now and then, never a nice thing, but every now and then it would be like, you wouldn't know what Israel was doing. And they'd go, Israel just bombed the school. And you'd go, huh. It was rare. Now they're doing it so much. And if you go, this might be a lot, and I support them and their right to exist, but this seems to be every human rights organization in the world, every country, everybody's going, this is, guys, please. Even America, even Biden is going, guys, please. And the response to maybe let's not bomb these refugee camps is, do you know what Hamas does to gay people and women?
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, come on.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, but you're killing people.
You're killing children.
Yeah, and women.
And women.
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot.
We got to figure out a way.
More than you're killing terrorists.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to make this, a better situation.
That's another one that's so wild too, because the left has always been like kind of clear on where it would look at like conflicts.
Yeah.
You know, like with Ukraine, the left is all in for Ukraine, right? There's some people on the right that are in for Ukraine, but the left is pretty much all in.
They're all in.
Putin's bad.
The far left isn't,
Yeah.
but the mainstream left that we all know about is.
But with Israel, you
Yeah.
have people on the left that are pro-Israel, a lot. Hardcore,
Yeah.
who just will find a way to rationalize
Yeah.
the human shield argument, no matter
Yeah.
what it is. And no one is like being straight up about it. Everyone's being ideological about it. No one is saying the whole thing is chaos. No one is saying, no one's talking about the history of the region, like the real history of the region, which is really complex.
It's very complex.
It goes back forever. And then no one is looking at this like there's any kind of fucking solution that makes any sense.
No.
So you're either there's no like clear path, like this guy's dead on, and this is the way we have to treat this, and this has to be handled. No, it's either Hamas is using human shields, and Israel has a right to exist, and they want to wipe Israel out. And if Israel laid down their arms, they would slaughter them. If Hamas laid down their arms, they would be fine. Like, fuck, man,
it's hard, and it's like there's definitely. I think naivete on both sides. The people that think Hamas is like a high school theater group are insane.
Yeah.
But the people also that think that you can bomb your way to the peace over there, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not going to do that.
You're not going to do it.
What are they going to do with all those people that survive? I mean, imagine how many future Hamas people they've created.
They're going to build hotels in Gaza. They're going to turn it into a, because I think that's maybe the end game, is to like eventually put a bunch of money into it. That's perhaps the end game.
Well, it is expensive real estate. It's on the sea.
It's real estate by the sea. They're going to put hotels in it, and then white people, white chicks from America are going to go to trips.
Well, whenever there's like land, that something happens to that's close to water, people are like, hang on, before making decisions. This area of Maui is really valuable.
Yeah.
Like we can do wild things here. If we can figure out a way to appropriate, if we just hang on long enough for all these people lose their mortgages, and we can just like figure out a way to slow down construction, slow down rebuilding.
They're going to hire.
I mean, look, it's a terrible tragedy that this happened, but look, we can't go back in time. So.
What are we going to do?
I mean, what are you going to do? Let these people rebuild
They're going to hire the people that are left to work at the hotels that the people who bombed them are going to visit. That is exactly what is going to happen. And there's going to be a woman, there's going to be a kid who goes, here's your eggs Benedict. And she's going to go, hi, are you from here? And he's going to go, yes. And she's going to go, does your family still live here? And he's going to go, no. And she's going to go, why did they move? And he's going to go, they were killed in the war. And she's going to go, oh, anyway, can we have some ice lattes too? Like that's what's going to happen. That's my guess.
Do you think that there's any is there a way that they could sell Israel taking over Gaza? Is there a way they could actually sell that?
Yes. The way you sell everything is by saying humanitarian reasons, and you're going to pump in a lot of money and you're going to make things a lot better. I don't know. The last administration that truly tried to get a Palestinian state, people talk about Clinton, but it was really H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush tried to curb a lot of the settlement building and try to say, listen, guys, we need to come to the table and have a Palestinian state. There was another attempt during Clinton. It didn't work. for various reasons. People can argue about why. It does feel like no one's talked about it recently, and it's just kind of been a thing that everybody ignored. So the idea that it won't exist is more likely now, I think, than it was. I mean, and it should exist. People should have the right to have a home. But I feel like they would sell it in the sense that in order to provide economic and security guarantees, it has to be an occupied region forever. I think that. And then the idea is like, I mean, listen, they're preparing. I mean, look at Military Times just wrote an editorial. They want to bring back the draft. They want to bring it back in Germany. They're all preparing for some. There is a very big push right now to militarize certain areas of the world, to bring back the draft, to see this as a Cold War that could turn hot. Where Biden basically said to the Ukraine, use American weapons in Russia. You can use American weapons for but not in a defensive capacity, for cross-border attacks into Russia. Russia is now doing war games in the Caribbean. We are ratcheting all of this stuff up at a time when we should be completely going the other way. We should be trying to figure out how to live on the planet with China, and we should not be getting involved we should not be encouraging countries to join NATO to antagonize Russia and getting involved in proxy wars. That's
Didn't
crazy.
Trump say that he was going to pull out of NATO?
He said that. He also said he would have bombed. At a fundraiser the other day, he said he would have bombed Russia and China. Like
what?
He's very bellicose.
No.
Yes,
he said
did.
that.
You can look at. Yeah,
oh
absolutely.
My God. Google
so he's
that.
saying all kinds of wild stuff now. I don't think he would have, but I think it might also help to be that bellicose and say all those wild things.
Saying that you would bomb China and Russia?
He sat at a fundraiser recently, and the people in the fundraiser were kind of shocked. He was basically like, "Yeah, we would have hit him, and we would have done it." Yeah, he's been,
I got to see this.
No, he's right here.
Trump at fundraiser says we would have bombed Russia and China. What? What? What did he say? Where did it say it? What the fuck did he say? I believe that President Trump will be supportive of Taiwan when he becomes president. He was there the first term. So where does it say that he would bomb? What does it say here? During a rally in Bronx, referenced several authoritarian leaders, including Vladimir Putin, saying they were at the top of their game, whether you like it or not. The world is going to respect us again if he's reelected, he claims. The bomb revelation was made in a Washington Post report on Trump's recent fundraising tour, during which he tested the boundaries of federal campaign finance laws, according to experts. At a fundraiser in New York earlier this month, Mr. Trump told the attendees he wanted to hear what they had on their minds, hearing options on former UN ambassador and his final Republican primary opponent, Nikki Haley, and several issues connected to Israel. Mr. Trump is routinely... Where does it say about the bomb thing? Where does it say that? I don't see any of this. That should be like front and center if it's in the headline.
No, for sure.
Like, why are you making me go all the... Where does it say bomb him?
They had it in quotes right here. It says the bomb revelation was made, but...
Right, but what does that mean?
Amongst the people talking.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, they're not saying his quote. That's a real sneaky thing to do.
Yeah.
The bomb revelation was made in a Washington Post report on Trump's recent fundraising tour. But what was it?
Let me find a different article on it.
Yeah.
See if they have a quote.
Yeah, that seems Trump would bomb Moscow.
Allegedly said he would.
Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly.
Well, he says a lot of stuff, and
Right,
he
but-
might not have said this.
But that's a crazy Yahoo title.
Right.
Trump suggested at fundraiser he would have bombed. Like, that seems to me like, unless you have the fucking quote, you shouldn't be saying that.
It is kind of funny.
Sometimes out crazy Putin. That's a great headline. Oh my God, The Hill said that, but this doesn't say he was going to bomb
right
anybody.
Here. It says
What does
it's
it say?
according to the Kiev Independent, which is what Yahoo reposted. The formerly and possibly future president. Quote.
Let me say this. In what Trump said a few days before, according to the Kiev Independent's retelling of a May 28th story in the Washington Post, the former and possibly future president suggested at a fundraising event that he would have bombed Moscow in response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But this is not saying his actual quote. He also said, in quotes, he would attack Beijing if China invaded Taiwan on his watch. But is that, it's got an asterisk? Is that, no, it's a quote. So is that his quote? Did he say that, though? Because it's weird. It's saying, the quote is that he said he would attack Beijing. And so, in quotes, that way, is that his quote, though? Attack Beijing if China invaded Taiwan on his watch. Did he actually say that? Or is this a retelling of what this person is saying, and they're putting that in quotes? The whole thing is a little slippery.
It is slippery.
Because if you're not, it's suggested at a fundraising event, he would have bombed Moscow. Like, that seems like you should have that quote.
You would think.
Trump makes sweeping promises to donors on an audacious fundraising tour. It doesn't say anything in there about bombing, does it? In the Washington Post. Google just do a find on this big-ass article and look for bomb. Here it goes. Okay, for example, at one event, he suggested he would have bombed Moscow and Beijing if Russia invaded Ukraine and China, or China invaded Taiwan, surprising some of the donors. But you don't have the quote.
No, he said it before with John Daly, with the golfer. He did say, I told Vladimir I'd hit Moscow. He did say that.
Jesus
And he did say
Christ.
that. He said, and you can get this, he did say to John Daly, he basically said, like, listen, I told him, I said, if you go in, we'll hit Moscow. And Trump said, I don't know if he believed me or not, but you just got to say these things. You know, he was kind of telegraphing it. But listen, I think that, you know, there's probably a value to some of that talk.
It's a nuclear power. It's like they're a friend of him. You know, he was a friend of mine. I got along great with him. I say, Vladimir, if you do it, we're hitting Moscow. I said, we're going to hit Moscow. And he sort of believed me, like 5%, 10%. That's all you need. He never did it during my time, John, you know.
No.
They're all talking about it.
No, it's
Why
funny.
did he do this during the last 4 years? Because he knew he couldn't.
It's funny how she didn't bother you either.
Yeah, no, she didn't bother me. And I told him the same thing.
John Daly getting hammered,
Yeah.
chatting it up with the president.
Guy's got an amazing life.
I got to get that guy in here.
Yeah.
John Daly, if
It'd
you're
be
out there.
Epic.
Let's get hammered.
Yeah, but so, I mean, who knows if he said at the fundraiser or not. They are slippery, and they do attribute things to him. And there's maybe more context to it.
Yeah, it's real hard to know. But just saying that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you believe me, maybe 5%.
Yeah, but I mean, I think maybe that's good. There's something good about
A maniac.
when you have a maniac in there who is, you know, a guy that's unpredictable. I think maybe Kim Jong-un, you know, when he would do that, and then Trump was on the other end of that, maybe that was perhaps helpful.
Maybe.
In that
I don't know,
spot.
but do you really want to be playing chicken with fucking Russia?
No, I think we got to chill.
Yeah.
I think we got to chill across the board. It doesn't feel like we're chilling. It feels like it feels like we're on this inevitable course towards World War III. It's every article and headline. It's like, guys, let's pull it back. Let's have a summer here.
Yeah, let's relax a little bit.
You know?
But it's not going to relax because it's getting close to November.
And everybody's got to be terrified.
Oh, my God. Aren't you?
Well, depending on which article I read or media I consume, I don't know. It feels like they're doing a lot to keep him from running. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you have the Stormy Daniels thing, which was a misdemeanor. It's, you know, this was elevated to this felony. You know, it was like it would have never been prosecuted had he not been running for president. People,
and that scares the shit out of me.
That's terrible. And then
that stuff's crazy.
Absolutely. And the Republicans are going to do it back. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to have, because they weaponized the government against, you know, when you had like the Steele dossier and Hillary Clinton, you had all of this, what ended up being, you know, faulty intelligence about him being controlled by Russia. And then they had all of these investigations and spent all of this time and energy trying to get him and couldn't. And then they tried to get him on like inflating the prices of the buildings he owns. And now they finally got him on paying hush money to someone, to a porn star.
Well, what they got him on was the inappropriate, the way they put it in the ledger.
Right, the way they put it in the ledger, the way they enter. Right,
yeah,
exactly.
34 times, so it's 34 different felonies.
And I know people that hate Trump that go, they shouldn't have done that.
Well, that's scary. If someone,
scary.
If he gets in office, you don't think that judges and prosecutors that are sympathetic to him would do the same thing?
Absolutely.
That's probably what's scaring the Biden people more than anything. Is the retribution. I mean, this guy he's a vindictive guy. He's always been a guy that goes after people who go after him. You know, he hits back harder than they hit him. And if they're doing this to him and he knows all the people that did it.
Well, you have all the guys now, his guys, right? Bannon, Stephen Miller, all these guys. They are all saying, hey, where are you? DAs all over the country, start bringing cases against prominent Democrats.
Yeah, they're
Why
worried.
not?
They're worried. They're worried because if Trump doesn't get in, then do you remember what happened when Trump lost, and then all these people were saying everybody who supported him, they should be on a list? Like,
right?
Whoa!
No, it's insane.
Whoa!
Are they willing to start a world war before this election? That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Are they willing to start a world war before this election? What are they willing to do? What are they not willing to do?
Well, maybe a world war gets started because they don't want Trump in office. Maybe someone else starts it.
I'm wondering how far they're willing to go. I'm also wondering how other countries, like you just said, might take advantage.
Yeah, maybe they would take advantage of it because they know that's the best way to keep Trump from being the president. If Trump is promising all these embargoes and all this different shit that he's going to do to China and everything he's going to do around the world, if I was in another country, I'd be like, we don't want that.
No.
Like, well, escalate things, right around October, invade Taiwan, take that over.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people are thinking that there is a possibility that you see somebody makes a move.
Yeah. But I mean, what better time to make a move than the chaos of us right now?
Right.
You got a choice between, what the Democrats keep calling a convicted felon. Convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. And they, there's been all this talk about repeating that over and over again.
Right.
Like, make sure we get that
No one
message
cares.
out there.
No one cares.
Convicted felon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a stupid thing.
Well, he's got a lot of people voting for him now that wouldn't have voted for him before.
There's a lot of people, I think, that are also seeing it would be one thing. I mean, listen, I have nothing good to say about Gavin Newsom. But if you had a guy that was had his faculties, could speak, was of a reasonable age or whatever.
Could gaslight better.
But the fact that you have this guy who's so old that, to me, does suggest, for whatever reason, they're terrified of replacing him with someone else. I do not know why. I don't know why. But it feels like who's ever running things right now does not want anybody coming in and looking under the hood.
Yeah. Right.
That does feel like that. I could be wrong.
Like if you're in business with someone, they won't let you look at the
Why
books.
are they killing Assange every day? Why are they torturing and killing Julian Assange? What did Julian Assange unleash that has made them do this to him, where they're slowly and methodically killing him in front of everybody?
Well, they can't stop now. Right? They've been doing it for so long. They can't stop now because then he becomes a martyr with no consequences.
And the same people go and talk about Alexei Navalny and try to get you to be upset that Vladimir Putin, which made no sense. Why would Putin kill a guy who was, now I'm not saying Putin's an angel, but Navalny was never a threat to Putin in any way. He was in a Siberian prison. And the week that we were having that vote about $60 billion for the Ukraine, Putin kills his biggest critic publicly. That's insane. That makes no sense to anybody. And
what do you think happened?
Well, if I had to guess, there's two ways. And Alexei Navalny might have just died. People can just die. But it seems like if there was any group of people that had a benefit from Alexei Navalny dying when he did, it's not Russia. It would be us. If we're trying to pass to a country that's a little war weary and a little tired and going, we don't really need, why are we in this? What is the end game in Ukraine? What does it look like? How much money should we be kicking over there? We're trying to pass that bill, get that through Congress. We have to portray Vladimir Putin as a monster who's unwilling to negotiate. We have to do that. In order to fund that war, we have to present him as a guy who's hell-bent on taking over Europe, and that war is in our vital national security interest. And the more we can paint him as that person, the better it is, and the more likely we are to be able to pass that bill. And it's just very weird if he wanted to get rid of Alexei Navalny that he would have done it then.
But wasn't that guy in a terrible prison? And wasn't he
was in a bad prison.
And I mean, obviously Putin hated him.
Putin hated him, but they had tried to poison him already. The FSB had already tried to poison Navalny.
So why wouldn't you think they just did it again?
Why would they? Why? What would be the point? He's in that prison.
Because they want him dead. Because Putin just wants him dead.
Fuck that guy.
What if he gets out?
The week that Alexei Navalny never had widespread support in Russia, by the way. This is not true. He had certain people that liked what he was doing. He never had widespread support in Russia. This is a Western narrative that's cooked up that's completely untrue. Alexei Navalny started his life as a guy who would criticize Jews. He had a lot of fascist tendencies. And then after a little trip to Europe and maybe a meeting with, I don't know, who knows who people meet with, he decided to go back to Russia with a very pro-Western attitude, and he changed course. I'm not saying why people do that. People see the light in all different ways. The point is, the guy's in a Siberian prison. America's about to pass a huge bill. If you're the president of Russia, are you killing him that week? That just, to me, is a question.
How did he die?
What are they saying? But now they said something recently. They said they found that he wasn't killed. They came out with something they conducted. Now, I don't know. I don't know who's conducting this, whether it's a Human Rights Watch or an international.
Well, you're dying slow in jail no matter what. If you're in a Russian
and that's a bad jail.
Yeah, you're in a Russian jail. Like, what are you eating?
And I'm not saying Navalny wasn't a patriot or whatever, but I'm just saying that like the idea that killing him,
right?
Maybe the guy did love Russia. I don't know. Maybe the guy was an egomaniacal guy who just wanted to lead. He wanted to be the leader. Maybe he was working with us. I don't know. But if you just look at it from a logical standpoint, it's weird that they killed him that week. That's strange to me. Doesn't make any sense.
Interesting. I don't know enough about it to comment.
Well,
but I would imagine if you wanted the guy
that
dead.
should never limit any of us.
How did he die? Sudden death syndrome. Oh. Given notice of a death, Navalny's spokesperson, Kira Yarmyish, said the time of his death, notice at 2:17 p.m. local time. When Alexei's lawyer and mother arrived at the colony this morning, they were told that the cause of Navalny's death was sudden death syndrome. That's a vague term for different cardiac syndromes that cause sudden cardiac arrest and death. Yeah. Maybe they just killed him.
They might, listen, of course they
More
might have
likely,
killed him.
right?
I don't know.
Felt unwell for a walk, almost immediately losing consciousness.
He also just might have died in a jail.
He might. Wait, how old was he? Oh, that's pretty young. Just dropped dead of a heart attack.
It's certainly possible that they killed him. It's just all of these events that we're told very little about. You have to then just rest on your own. You go, well, I don't know. It's very possible they killed him. I don't know. I don't live there. What do I know? It's very possible they killed him.
I like how you're thinking, though. You're thinking like 4D chess.
Well, no, I'm thinking like, the way when he dies, people go, he was a big threat and Putin had to vanquish him. Was he? I don't know. Does anyone consume Russian media or listen to Russian podcasts? I've listened to Russian I hear the way Russians talk. Like, I know people that live there. Like, it's not. We hear a lot of stuff, and then there's what we hear, and then what's happening. Doesn't mean that it's great. I'd rather live here, but it does mean that like this idea that there was a movement. Like, remember when the hot dog warlord guy Prigozhin was going through, and everybody was salivating on social media, being like, no, he's about to overthrow the Kremlin. It's going to happen. And it didn't happen.
Not only that, if he did, he's a fucking warlord.
He's a warlord. If he did, he's going to be worse.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen because nobody has a fucking clue what's going on over there. So it's just you have to. And then Assange, they're killing this guy in slow motion and then telling us how outraged we should be about Navalny. When Assange comes out, leaks a bunch of emails, we find out we're committing war crimes. We find out the CIA can remotely hijack your car. We find out that they can use all kinds of smartphone features to record you, all that stuff. He releases, I forget what it's called, Vault 7 or Vault 5. I forget which. I think it's 7, but I don't know. I forget the name of the vault, but he releases all of these things. Troves of Clinton emails, and I'm not saying
Seth Rich gets murdered.
I'm not saying Pizzagate was real, but I've never in my life been like, have 50 hot dogs ready for the guy when he comes. Like, no one talks. Like, I don't know what they were talking about, but hot
dogs and pizza.
No one has ever communicated like that.
No.
Ever once. those emails.
The most bizarre.
Read those emails. Nobody has ever communicated like that ever. Go, well, I hope there's 50 hot dogs or something. The president's going to love some of these good hot dogs. Like, maybe we shouldn't have our hot dog parties at the White House. Like, things that are so crazy when you read them, you don't know. You go, this doesn't seem to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make any sense.
And they're talking about kids in
And
some
talking
of
about
the
kids. And they're talking about weird shit.
It seems coded.
It seems weirdly coded.
It's like it seems so coded that I would assume that it's misinformation, that it's fake, that it's that someone released it. It's like
who knows?
Some sort of a fake. But I don't think it is. I don't think it's ever been claimed. I don't think it's ever been claimed to not have been their actual emails.
It's very strange, and they have these emails that are all very weird and strange. Seth Rich gets killed.
And anybody who thinks that Seth Rich might have got murdered because of leaking to WikiLeaks, even though Assange alluded to it.
Right.
You're a conspiracy theorist.
You're a nut.
Well, wait a minute. Do you or do you not think that sometimes people kill people?
Yeah. I mean, like, these people are crazy.
And you see a clear motive here. You see a thing here. That's a real big thing. And if you pursue that at all, if you even question that at all, if you even look into it at all, they left his wallet, they left his phone, they didn't steal anything from him.
It was not a mugging.
Just murdered him.
It was not a mugging. It was a murder.
You don't think that's weird?
It's very strange. People go, oh, it was a bad area. It was whatever. Yes, but there was no economic crime happening. Like, there you were.
Not only that, they left his stuff.
That's right.
They shot him and just left whatever he had.
They left all
Even
that.
if it wasn't a robbery.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that's going to shoot someone, you're going to leave their money with them?
You had all of that happening at the same time that high-up members of the national security apparatus in this country were coming out going, we have information that the president of the United States is either working for Russia, conspiring, has conspired with Russia.
Had girls pee on him.
They were accusing him of treason. You gotta remember this. They were accusing the guy of treason. This was not like he got a blowjob in the Oval Office. This is treason. And his supporters enabled a coup in our country backed by Russia. None of that. 2 years, 3 years on TV.
And
every
everybody
night.
repeated it.
Everyone repeated it. No one has since apologized. Nobody has said we were wrong. Nobody has shown any interest in getting to the bottom of how that happened. They cook up this fake Steele dossier claiming all these things, the P tape, all of that stuff. All of this intelligence ends up being, for lack of a better word, pretty unsourced. And the Clinton campaign paid for that dossier.
Yeah.
And so all of that stuff, unreal how corrupt. Now, when you zoom out and you look, and then you go, well, there's this old guy with dementia that they don't want to give up on, and then you zoom out, and you go, oh, maybe there is something else happening. I don't know.
Jesus. Who the fuck knows?
You can only say this if you have these glasses on.
Yeah, you feel better.
If you take them off, you immediately become a normie, and you can't.
And you feel nervous about it.
You feel nervous. You start going, I like Biden. I like that he's a family man, which someone said the other day.
He's a good man.
A family man.
He's a good man.
The family. The son right now, our president's son right now is in court trying to convince a judge that he was not smoking crack when he bought a gun.
Is he the first guy to ever get arrested for that?
I don't know. But that's such a funny thing that's literally what the son of the president's doing right now is they've got his ex-wife testifying, ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, not just like smoking. He was saying he was smoking crack every hour on the hour.
Yeah, and then one of them, I think his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend said she was witnessing him do it every 20 minutes, which is kind of impressive.
How do you stay alive?
Yeah.
Think about all the people that have died of overdoses. That guy's out there. Keep on trucking.
That's right.
Dropping accidental packages in the White House.
Well, he's fit. He's kind of built for it. He's built to smoke crack. You know what I mean? He has fun sex. He can handle it.
Like Shane Gillis can handle beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people can just handle stuff. And, I don't even want him to stop smoking crack. I don't
think he
want.
Stopped.
Sure. And I hope
he's.
So? No, sure. I mean, listen, that's great. He's great. They're all great. They found coke in the White House.
I had a chance
that?
I had a chance to get him on the podcast.
Oh, Joe.
I know. Early on, when he was releasing a book, before the laptop stuff or all the shit hit the fan.
Oh, well, then that might have sucked.
I don't know. I think I could have.
You could have opened them
whenever
up.
he was going to go on. I think they canceled all of it though.
Yeah.
I think when the shit started, it probably never would have happened because I think once things started going sideways, I think he did a couple of interviews before things went completely sideways. I think it was because of a book. It was before he was selling those paintings.
Yeah, as an artist
for like $500 million
He's a
bucks
sensitive
each.
soul.
The paintings,
He's a sensitive soul. He lives in Malibu. He's an artist.
Paintings are a crazy way to fuck around
Absolutely.
with money.
It's a great money laundering scheme.
It really is.
It's the best.
It's a great way to do it. And, you know, it's interesting. It's like the CIA, there's real evidence now the CIA was involved in Jackson Pollock.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, right? Which makes sense because those paintings were terrible.
Not only were they bad, but all of that whole era of art, they were kind of, and it was also like, it also fucked with people's heads because people were looking at those paintings going, I could do that.
Right? Easily.
And capitalism only works if you have respect for the accomplishments of other people. Like, you got to be able to look at people and go, I can't do that.
Bro, there's some work like that is insanely expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just splatters. And you're like, what is this?
Well, it's a great way to get over on the rich. People think rich people always get over. It's not true. Rich people get beat all the time by other rich people.
Oh, yeah.
Because they all agree that there are certain kinds of bullshit that they tolerate. And one of them is like they buy this crap art that is like this modern art that, you know, one was a blank canvas once that sold for $200,000, like all this stuff.
Like
How much do you think that went for?
$5 million.
Tim, any guess?
What is a Pollock?
Yeah.
An original?
No, it's not.
It's not Pollock?
I don't think so.
Someone else?
I'll show you the answer if I look.
I say $5 million.
I'll say 2 million.
300 million.
2 weeks of the Ukraine war. That's 2 weeks of the Ukraine war, that painting.
That is so crazy.
Can
What
we
is
just
that?
give the Ukraine that and have them sell? Can we just give them art like that and have them repurpose
What
it?
is it?
William de Kooning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's 55. Is the head of in the middle of the CIA?
Yeah, this is when they were doing this.
So was this an American guy who did it?
The CEO of Citadel bought it.
Oh my God! What a fucking
You
asshole.
need, you made a great point about chaos. You just need a certain amount of chaos, and but with this crap, it just starts driving people crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that chaos ends up becoming the point.
Yeah. It's a factor.
That's right.
It's like noise. Like if you want to kill somebody, turn up the music so no one hears them scream.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting when you see them really get involved in culture in the 60s, and they are in Laurel Canyon, and they're at Haight-Ashbury.
Oh, they were involved in everything.
And they're working with everybody. You've had that guy on your show, wrote that great book about Manson and all that stuff. And they're involved with cults. They're
Huge
involved with
difference,
everybody.
but that's actually the painting. The one I had up that it showed was not the correct painting.
Oh, this is the one? Oh, that one still sucks.
I know it's not.
That's 300 million? That's even less impressive.
That's worse.
That one's less good. If I bought the other one for $400, I'd feel better.
That's like something a guy like me picks out.
The other one was 27.6 million.
Jesus.
Well, that's
Christ.
reasonable. Yeah.
Good
Like
Lord.
10%.
Is it the same artist?
No, I don't think so. No.
So this guy, what is the big deal about this guy?
I don't know. I was looking through another article.
God, these are garbage. This is a garbage painting.
The top 15 from 2020, and I was like, the very first one it shows was the one I just showed you.
Oh, but that's number 15.
Right.
Yeah. And that's 27 million.
Yeah.
So this is the most expensive works of art. Oh, look at this one. How much is that piece of shit? Bro, that's something my daughter would have done when she was 4.
28.7.
28 point.
Yeah.
What?
It's fake.
What?
Yeah.
So this is money laundering.
This is money laundering.
Well, then there's Picasso. The Picasso's actually kind of cool, though. Look at that one.
Picasso
Let me see the
one.
Picasso one. Look at this one.
that's
The
different.
Picasso one's kind of cool.
But it's destroying the difference. Like it's by elevating a lot of the other stuff, they're also muddying the waters.
Look at
with
this one.
that.
That's all blue.
Yeah, except that one line.
There's the little line down the middle. How much is that one?
30.
That's the thin blue line.
$30 million. This one's a black,
Rothko, yeah.
red with a black square at the bottom. $21 million.
31.
This is insane. Oh, that's a dinosaur,
that's an
though.
actual skeleton. Yeah, for
That's
32.
pretty dope.
Well, that's fun.
That's pretty dope.
That belongs in a Miami penthouse, first floor.
I looked at a house in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills when I was
Yeah.
thinking about living in Beverly Hills. And
Yeah.
it had a dinosaur in it.
See, that's
You could
cool.
buy the dinosaur for like an extra $1 million.
The Persians are fun
Yes.
because they own those places.
I have a dinosaur.
There's one guy.
don't have a dinosaur?
There's one guy there that has white tigers in the backyard.
What?
He has like a white tiger thing in his backyard.
Actual
in Beverly
white
Hills.
tigers?
Yes.
You're allowed to do that?
No.
So
he's not allowed.
He's just balling.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't give a fuck.
But
Maybe
it's
he's a diplomat.
kind of well known that
It's
he
well
does.
known that he has tigers? Jesus.
Maybe not amongst the people that would.
It is now.
Yeah, for
Now
sure.
people know.
Now people go.
What's the address?
Oh, I don't know. They don't invite me. Like, I'm going to be standing there with the tiger.
Did you ever see that show, The Shaws of Sunset?
Yes.
It's all the rich Persians.
Yes. Tehrangelus. They call L.A. Tehrangelus. Which is fun. There is something fun about those people. I like the gold and the gaudy and the glitter. And the wasps, to me, they're like the fading wasp empire where they're loaded, but they drive like a shitty beater car.
I don't like that.
And they wear loafers.
I like how you do it.
I like how I do it, which is disgusting and vulgar. And it shows people that money isn't even good.
Right.
The way I live proves that money isn't even good. That's the... I buy things at Dior, and when I walk into these stores, I buy a dumb hoodie or something that looks crazy or a feathered coat or whatever, and people see me in it, they go, you know what? So what? So what? We don't have a lot. Look at this idiot. Capitalism needs people like me to go out and do things that are so buffoonish. It makes people go, you know what? This whole thing, money ain't it.
Right.
Money ain't it. Let's just go to the lake. But it is something gross about, I like when people that don't have money, because I never had money, and then at 37 I had money at 36, and then you do dumb shit. No one, my
First
parents had
generation
no
money.
money.
Yeah.
No one smart does what I do, but that's okay. The only smart thing I've done is I have some houses, so I can't pick them up and snort them or whatever.
Right.
But nobody's buys the kind of dumb sunglasses or dumb Bentleys. Nobody does that if they have a clue.
Right.
But my parents, my mother was a swim teacher and my father was a wine salesman. They were good people, but we didn't know anything about money. We never learned about money. We had no idea about money. So I just, when you get money, you go, I should do things like go to Beverly Hills and get a very shiny, gross, grotesque car. Because that's what it is. That's the whole point of Beverly Hills. You get a nice car, you drive up to one of these restaurants, the valets park it. They go, that's a nice car. And then you just go, thank you. That's the whole interaction. You
That's
go,
what
thank
you
you
want.
so much. You go, thank you.
You
Thanks
want
so
to get
much.
that thank you. You want to get the
What you should tell
admiring
them is
looks.
you should go, I live in hell. And then just walk in. You should go, I'm owned. Because a lot of those people are. You should just go.
Especially if you're at the margins.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you really shouldn't have that car.
That's right.
Ooh, there's a lot
That's
of people
right.
out there living like that.
Well, a real estate agent told me once that New York was a $50 million house cash and LA was a $50 million house with a $48 million mortgage. She said people on the West Coast are just leveraged. The money's newer. It's different. It's not, as old, I guess. So then people just, there's more keeping up with the Joneses attitude, perhaps.
Well, LA's filled with that.
Filled with that.
That's the whole thing. It's fake it till you make it.
Right.
It's the influencer culture.
Right.
People are renting houses and cars.
That's right.
And taking pictures in front of them, blessed.
Yeah. And now I think it's just not even fake it till you make it. It's just fake it till you fake it.
Yeah,
you
just
gotta
keep
faking it.
Yeah, just keep faking it.
You gotta keep
As you
faking
make
it.
fake it harder.
That's right.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the average price of a home in L.A. Is it California itself or L.A.? California itself. Yeah. The average price of a home is $1 million, which is
absurd.
So crazy.
It's so crazy.
That's so much money. And then the average income is $60,000, right?
62 is the thing I saw.
62 is the average income.
Yeah.
$1 million is the average home.
It's unsustainable.
But that's
that
beyond.
whole thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Could you imagine the fucking fear that you would have if you had a $1 million mortgage and you made $60,000 a year?
What's worse about this whole thing? Go look at the houses for $1 million. They're dumps.
Yeah.
They're not even nice.
No.
It's crazy what you don't get there.
Right. You'd have to live in Palmdale to get a nice house for $1 million.
They're just, you know what it is? It's pretty. California's the girl that's just hot and forever has been hot.
But ruins your life.
Right. I mean, it's just pretty. It's stunningly beautiful. There are parts of it, like Montecito or Santa Barbara. You go up there, you go, this is so pretty. But everybody there's houses burned down 4 times. They're on their 3rd divorce. There's been mudslides. Their kids in rehab. but it's pretty.
A lady I looked at with a house up there, she died in a mudslide. The real estate lady that showed us the house.
This is what happens. But they'll tell you that in the way they talk.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara, it's always sunset, and they have this voice. And they tell you the worst things about something in the very nice, calm way. And they go, this is beautiful. It's a remodel because it burned down and the family was in it. And that was sad. But it burned down and it's a remodel and they did a great job and the finishes are beautiful. And, you're not in the path of the mudslide. You're not in the direct path, but you're in an area that can have seismic activity. We don't love that. The fire department, and they got called on this, did the vegetation or something so that when the floods hit, Montecito was kind of spared. They tried, and they got called out on this. The LA Fire Department or whatever was they had to do certain things where they prioritize that area over all the other areas.
Well, the problem is the fire hits, the vegetation gets burned down, and then they get the mudslides because they don't have anything protecting the erosion anymore.
Right.
Right. And that's what happened. They had a big ass fire up there, which they have all the time. I mean, when I lived in LA, where I lived, we were evacuated 3 times.
Wow.
3 times. Wow. One time, it burnt the fucking next door neighbor's house.
Just
2
for
of
clarity,
them.
it's by 2030, but it's still
Million.
900,000 right now. I just saw.
Okay. Only $900,000. It's a bargain.
That's crazy.
It's a bargain for someone to make $62,000 a year.
Yeah.
Just imagine being in the hole like that.
This is the whole problem.
Because you can't make, even if you made $62,000 a year and had 0 expenses, right, and didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
It still is going to take you fucking forever to pay that off. You're never going to be able to pay it off.
Before we engineered this crisis. We allowed this to happen. We let foreign billionaires buy stuff. We let our own companies buy residential real estate. We let it all happen. And it's right before we could enact laws. We could stop it. Anything that's happening could be stopped. But it's right before they start telling people, okay, live in a pod. Live in this pod. This is right before they start introducing okay, you know what? It's too expensive for you. Guess what? Here's the good news. And they're just going to 3D printed housing everywhere in the middle of the desert. It's going to be a nightmare.
The wildest one is funds, right? Funds buying up houses, residential houses, so they can
do it
just
all
rent
the
them
time.
out. Yeah, they're doing it a lot now.
They do it all the time. But I do feel like we are right there where it's going to get so bad where they're just going to start, whether it's 3D printing or whatever they're doing, where they're just going to have houses and go, here we go. Here we go. They're all together. They're all,
You
They're
have a
not
15-minute city. There's no reason for you to go outside of your 15-minute city.
You have it.
You have a little park over here. Go to your park.
And you're going to live in that, and they're going to have an app, and your whole life will be an app. There'll be an app with your city.
Yeah.
Everything will be on the app.
Check in when you get outside
you won't need to own a car. You won't need to own a house.
It'll give you a countdown.
That's right.
When you leave the 15-minute city.
That's right.
You have 40 hours to return.
And then climate change is going to be the big reason they'll use.
Yeah.
They'll say because of climate, we're limiting automobile ownership. We're limiting this. We're limiting that.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be the next step.
Yeah. That's a scary one. The climate thing's a scary one. Because they're using it just like they use everything else. And you have to be a good person, so you want to support climate change. You want to support the measures. You want to do your part.
You don't want to be a psychopath.
We got to kill these cows. They're making methane.
These people are bad people, that are doing these things like leaving their home. They're sick. Do you want to be sick? So that's inevitably, I think, what happens is all of these things are, it's a crisis this is not organic.
Right.
It's not organic that all of these cities are being bought up. None of this was inevitable. All of this could have been stopped. And it is right now not being stopped.
Yeah.
Average income $62,000, average house $900,000, and the response to that is,
And then what happens when automation takes over 80% of the jobs?
Then they got to do the World War. Then they got to get rid of everybody.
What do you think?
Or
happens?
a lot of people.
Do you think when automation takes over, there's some sort of a massive decrease in population? Do you think they provide universal basic income? What do you think they do?
I don't know what they do. I think that it seems like right now they're preparing for a world war. That genuinely, if you were to zoom out and read the news dispassionately, like without wanting any answer to float to the surface, it seems like they are preparing for a world war. Every article is like, conflict with China inevitable within 5 years, say many generals.
Yeah.
Every article, every national scale, every leak, Pentagon leak is U.S. readiness needs to be, within 5 years, a conflict is inevitable, The draft, military times, we should bring the draft back. Like, Europe, the future of Europe is in doubt.
So the military times said that?
Yeah, we could, there's certainly, recently they had a article arguing, I believe, for the return of selective service for the draft. And it's definitely something that it's being talked about. Germany talked about it recently because of the Ukraine-Russia thing. And there's this idea now that,
lawmakers move to automate selective service registration for all men. Whoa. A new plan from the House lawmakers would automatically register men for potential military draft when they hit 18, avoiding potential legal consequences connected to failing to file the paperwork at the proper time. Jesus Christ. Mandate automatic registration of all males between 18 and 26 living in America in the selective service system, a federal database used for a military draft in case of national emergency. Ugh.
What would that be?
It gets fun with the male part.
Yeah,
of course.
male. What about trans men? Trans
What
men are
about
men.
them?
Trans men are men.
Get them in.
Yeah,
It's time to be men now.
that's what I'm saying. Let's go.
So it does seem like they're preparing for something.
Fuck.
And it does seem like it's weird. It's weird. There's a weirdness in the air.
100%.
There's a weirdness in the air.
Yeah, this is late stage civilization vibes.
For
That's
sure.
what it is. We got late stage civilization vibes, no matter how we slice it. We
Yeah.
might make it through this.
Yeah.
We might look back at this.
I
God,
hope we do.
Tim and Joe were so crazy.
Yeah.
They're making a big deal out of it. Nothing happened. Or this could be one of those things that people play if you can find a power source. I saved it on my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, let's watch. They were talking about it.
Well, it's also like what scares me more than anything is the people who aren't feeling this way.
Did you see what they did where they gave Starlink internet to this tribe in the Amazon and they all started jerking off?
I talked about it on my show this week. They're addicted to porn and social media.
Instantly. And
Overnight.
The elders, tribe elders are freaking out because
They're losing control.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be great at first, but now everyone's lazy. No one wants to work. They all just flipping through their phones all day. They're in the jungle and they're going through their
Sure,
phones.
because at first it's great. They're like, look, a picture of a flower.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, it's like there's guys watching women get choked and, kicked and whatever. And now they're like losing control.
Yeah, and they're on TikTok all day.
And that's what you look at, you go, all of that's why it's so important that the tech people all be on the same page for the most part, because that's the way you lose control the quickest. And it seems to be very important and somewhat engineered, maybe not top down, but somewhat coincidental that 90% of the tech people are all on the same page about most things.
Those are the type of people, though. They're all ideologically captured. Like,
That's
it's all
right.
the left. The tech is all the left.
There's
And
some libertarians, but very few.
Very few. And those are the rebels. To have those people in charge of everything is just so weird.
But it was weird because we had Republicans and Democratic bankers for a long time, and no one really cared. But there's something with the tech people where it's like, we can't, it seems like they don't want to let there be any diversity in thought with that group because the levers they hold are too consequential.
But they were that way before the levers were consequential.
Sure.
Except for Microsoft, right? If you think about Microsoft, they were like liberal, but not financially. Like they were very, very shrewd financially.
They're all liberal if you can be liberal and have a $25 million house in Atherton, California. If that's part of it, and then I think that's part of the way we've designed liberal in America, then...
Well, they're just so removed.
They're
so
very removed
from the consequences of what they're interested in.
And when you talk to them, you do get the feeling that they are they fully believe, and for good reason, that they control the country now.
Yeah, and they think they should.
That's
because
right.
they're the smart ones, and they're on the right side.
That's correct.
And we have to do everything we can.
Yeah.
And so when they complied with the government, when they eliminated things from social media that were problematic to the narrative, whether it was on YouTube or Twitter or whatever they did, like they thought they were doing the right thing. And that they should be doing this because the people, these people are stupid.
I think everyone thinks they're doing the right thing, and I think the thing that surprises me the most is how a lot of those people in those positions of power aren't cynical. They aren't, you really would like them to just go, yeah, it's all bullshit. We're doing what we have to do. You'd almost rather that.
Right.
But they truly believe.
They believe. They believe in what they're saying. They really do.
They do. And I think that's if you're in a deep cover CIA agent, you believe. I think if you're high up in the military, you believe. I think if you're in the tech industry, you believe. I think no matter where you are, you believe because so much of your identity becomes dependent on that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, like I experienced that when I was working on a television show, when people used to try to tell me, oh, the government is programming it and they're programming these shows to make these shows so that we're stupid.
Right.
And people would believe that. I'm like, you don't understand. The people making these shows like these shows and watch these shows. They try to make these shows. There's no one telling them to make these shows this way other than the people that are saying this would make us money.
Right.
That's all they're doing.
That's right.
Like you've got this idea that like this is like design, like Fear Factor is designed to make people stupid.
Right.
No, everybody had a good time. The people making it had a good
That's
time.
right.
The people making it watch those shows.
Yeah.
They're like, have you seen Survivor? They're all watching them.
Well,
they're
it's
all
like
in the culture.
Every time Sam Smith, or somebody dresses up like a devil or tries to do something edgy, everyone talks about, well, this is like this engineered thing. And I'm like, listen, a lot of it is people are trying to get attention.
100%.
It's what they're trying to do.
Especially
Focus
Sam
on,
Smith.
Right. And that you can't be, and I talked about it when people were like really enraged about it. And I'm like, if you are like going to be a non-binary, I'm different, I'm going to sell sex, you can't look like my uncle. And that's what Sam Smith looked. And they were like, well, no, he's a Satanist. I go, if Satan saw him and said, that's who's my representative on Sam Smith looks like my uncle at a Halloween party who's drunk. That's what he looked like. It really does. He looks like a guy like me or somebody I would have grown up with.
At all.
No. So he doesn't have that Bowie thing. He doesn't have that sexy thing. I think it's far less they're putting messages in to corrupt people. I think maybe there's people that certainly do that. I think overall, it's that people are lazy and want attention. Yeah. And it's a lot easier to get attention that way than to keep being good at something.
Oh, dressing up like the devil is one of the best ways to get attention.
That's right. It's one of the oldest ways.
Do you remember the outrage for the Lil Nas X video?
Of course.
Where he gave Satan a lap dance?
Yes. Yeah, gave Satan and he had the blood shoes. And again, I'm not saying it's great for a 5-year-old, but it's like focus more on the houses being $1 million. Focus more on all that stuff because that's the stuff I think that in long term.
Focus more on the potential draft.
Focus more on the potential draft. In the long term, that's what seems to matter.
Yeah, but nobody is, people are just so easily distracted by a good Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef.
Sure.
It's so easily, it's so exciting to have all these things happening all the time.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's just a weird fucking time that doesn't seem like it has there's no patterns that I could see from the past because everything's so accelerated by technology. Like you could look at the chaos of the 1960s. I know they threw water on that in the 70s and the 80s. It was all cocaine in the 90s. And it took till like the 2000 the internet comes around for people to start exploring some of the ideas that people were, really connected to in the 60s.
Yeah.
But now here we are, no roadmap. No roadmap, and everything is fucking chaotic.
Everything's chaotic. But also maybe we'll get like a nice abatement. Like maybe for whatever reason, it doesn't go in the direction that it seems like it's going.
Yeah.
And that it has like a dead cat bounce where you know what I mean? Like we're like, you get 20 or 30 years out of this place or more.
Right.
Before... Because you don't want a war and you don't want nukes to fly and you don't want all this stuff happening.
No, and you're doing all this while they can AI operate weapons now.
Yes.
Including jets. Fighter jets that are using AI. We have drones now that are insanely and we probably have UFOs.
Sure.
I think a good percentage of that shit these people are seeing.
When can you charter a UFO? That'll be fun.
Soon.
You can charter a private jet. You should be able to charter a UFO.
Yeah. There's already people that are doing SpaceX flights, right?
Yeah, you can go. You can leave our flat Earth.
Wow. You could see the thermosphere or whatever
See
the fuck
whatever it is.
the firmament.
There should be a flat Earth tour that will take you to space and only show you part of it. That
Yeah. They should just give you
reconfirms your
special
belief.
glasses where it looks flat.
My friend's mother's a flat earther. He goes, what does she do? He goes, how do we help? I go, I don't know.
One of my friends, Eddie Bravo, thinks the Earth's flat.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
He watches too many YouTube videos. There's quite a few people that think it's flat. The
Yeah.
problem is like it's a biblical thing. A lot of it is based on the depictions of Earth and the firmament and all these different things in the Bible,
Right.
which, by the way, was written by people.
Right.
This idea that people back then had it all laid out perfectly,
It's not true.
and that the Word of God was translated absolutely perfectly, and nobody ever added their own special sauce to the mix, like they do with everything.
Yeah, it's
with
crazy.
Everything ever.
No, it's definitely interesting. And I think seeing the battle between these ancient texts and the most modern technology and seeing how they fuse together is going to make the planet very interesting.
Sure, ancient texts fused together with YouTube.
That's right.
What is this? Japanese billionaire pulls plug on private Dear Moon lunar starship mission. Huh.
Why?
I know about this. This just got announced this week.
Well, how much money would it cost? I mean, you could go to the moon? Is that what the idea was?
They remember like Steve Aoki was going to be on this.
Oh, I was trying to tell Steve, don't do that.
Yeah, it's this plan.
Can't we go to the moon?
No. No one's ever been, so how could we go?
Well, there's got to be first person.
Do you think people went to the moon?
I have no idea.
I had Bart Sabrell on the podcast.
And do you think
Do you know
they
who he
did?
is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course you do. You're deep in the conspiracy world.
Well, I'm deep in the truth.
That guy, that guy's been on that forever. I had dinner with him like 20 years ago.
Right.
At least.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 20 years ago. I met with him in an Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And he was just laying out his case.
Yeah.
Why the moon landing was
I mean, dude,
fake.
there was a book called Penetration by this guy Ignacio Swan, who's one of these remote viewing guys. And that's what got me into that stuff, like some of that more stuff. He wrote this book, and it was about remote viewing and how like the government was using remote viewing.
They definitely were trying to use it.
They were trying to use it, and whether they succeeded or not, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is it pretty accepted that we didn't go to the moon?
No.
No.
I mean, it's
controversial still.
It's amongst conspiracy
Theorists.
Amongst those folks, yeah, none of those folks think we went to the moon. They think it was all horseshit. Some people think we went to the moon, but we faked the footage,
right?
Because
that's so us.
Radiation of space. And,
so us.
Yeah, and then also
such an us thing to do it, and then actually go fuck it. We got to film something.
There's also like there is precedent that they did use certain photos that were obviously from training missions,
right?
And then they blacked out the background and tried to pretend these are photos of spacewalks,
right?
Because if someone's like doing a spacewalk, like there's one of what's his name, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, who's the other guy? Michael Collins.
Okay,
there's Michael Collins in the Gemini 15. And what they did was, but this could be overzealous PR people that are doing this, right?
Sure.
At NASA. They took a photograph of a mission where he was in a training mission, and he's suspended by cables and they're teaching him how to use the spacewalk stuff, and then they reversed the image and blacked out the background. See if we can find that.
So those types of things give people an indication that there's a problem.
Well, they give you an indication that there's a pattern of deception.
They're willing to lie.
That they're willing to at least fuck with the truth for publicity purposes because they want good photographs of something.
Has there ever been like a NASA whistleblower?
Yeah, I'm sure. So that's it. So they took the photo on the left and then they just reversed it to the photo on the right and blacked out the screen. So the one on the left, obviously, they're in training mission. The one on the right, they're pretending it's space, which is pretty wild. I mean, really pretty fucking wild they did that.
That is wild.
It's wild.
But Boeing, more whistleblowers came out.
More, yeah. There's
11
two
more
now.
whistleblowers.
Well, two of them were murdered, right?
Well, yeah, but I love
Do you think they were murdered? Or did they commit suicide? What happened to those folks?
I think they were murdered.
What's the story? It was the official story about the two Boeing whistleblowers who got whacked.
Boeing's a national security company. It's an American defense contractor. You're working for Boeing, you're working for the government. You come out and whistleblow, how do the fucking FBI like that? They'll get rid of you too if you start in whistleblowing.
What's the official cause of death for the two folks?
I don't know. The guy was sitting in his car. He shot himself.
One was suicide.
One was suicide because he was sad.
I would be sad too if I disparaged a great company like Boeing.
I love Boeing.
He
I've always
probably
loved Boeing.
realized, what have
Yeah.
I done to this
He also
disparage this
probably
great
sucked.
company?
He probably sucked as a guy. No,
might have
whistleblowers
sucked.
aren't fun.
Right.
There's
Maybe-
never been a whistleblower that's fun.
Maybe he was a fake whistleblower and he knew the house of cards was coming
He was
down.
coming.
No pun intended.
You probably went out with him and he always talked about how unsafe these planes were. And you're like, dude, shut up.
Right.
Shut up. I'd fly all the time. A lot of people do.
He's basically like a flat earther.
Oh, yeah, right. I don't want to know how bad the planes are. Let them crash. Let one of them crash. Here's the deal. No one's going to fix it, so just don't bother me.
50 Boeing whistleblowers still want to talk safety fears despite 2 informants dying after speaking out.
They'll kill 50 of them, too. Don't think they won't.
50 people can commit suicide if they're wrong.
50 people can absolutely
Especially
commit
if they're
suicide.
disparaging a great company like Boeing. What does it say here? John Barnett, 62, quality control engineer, had just begun testimony in a lawsuit against Boeing in March when he was found in his truck at a South Carolina motel with a fatal self-inflicted gunshot wound. Yeah, that's a little fishy. Joshua Dean, 45, died unexpectedly in early May. The quality auditor at Spirit Aerosystems, one of Boeing's biggest suppliers, passed away in the hospital following the onset of a fast-moving infection. Yeah, they can do that to you.
Sure.
They can do that to you. They can give you an infection.
Absolutely.
And they certainly can shoot you in the head.
They can do all of that.
Yeah, they could definitely shoot you in the head.
And their attitude is like, hey, can you not fuck up our thing?
Yeah, we're trying to fix it. We don't need you whistleblowing.
We're trying to fix it. You're not helping.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're killing yourself?
You want attention.
Do you think there's James Lindsay has a very interesting take on this. He thinks that China they own a competitor to the Boeing planes. And I think the strategy is to destabilize Boeing and have the Chinese planes take over.
So they're killing the whistleblowers?
No, that there's some sort of a push to get this Chinese jet company to get their products. They're more safe. They're better. Let's just take those.
Maybe, but Boeing is so deeply enmeshed in the national security apparatus, I can't see that ever happening.
Right.
There's no way that we...
But if you wanted to do something like that,
then you
how
would
would
try.
you do it? You
It's
would
like this.
You would fuck with the safety protocols.
I mean, we do depend on too much for national security. We do depend on too many things from China already.
Oh yeah, like medicine,
like all of that. Like not only medicine, but like
chips.
You know, what's that thing that? What do they do? Is it reactors or what do they buy? What do we? They basically said we're not selling you these anymore.
Well, they're in charge of so many of the mines.
That's right.
You know, so many of the mines in the Congo are being run by China.
So I don't know if we'd be so stupid to just start buying all of their stuff, but maybe. It's a possibility.
China's homegrown 737 competitor has to wait a while to fill the vacuum left by Boeing. Europe says the C-O-M-8 Comac
C-19
C-19 is too new to approve by 2026. So they have their own version. So if they're playing a long game, what better way to destabilize the competitor than just, listen, we need to save money. Let's cut back on some of these safety inspectors and have the mechanics do their own safety inspection.
Absolutely.
Done. We're good.
Done. We're
if
good.
you just put that little piece in place, if you just did that, and you just take into account people's laziness and how people suck at their job already, and then there's no oversight from the mechanics, what's the possibility that mistakes are going to be made? 100%.
Yeah. Well, corporate espionage is probably one of their strongest talents and one of the things they've excelled at.
Imagine if that's how they do it, though.
Yeah.
If Lindsay's right. When he said that to me, I was like, Jesus Christ.
He might be right. He might be right.
God.
I just don't want to sit in a plane and be fucking nervous.
Oh, yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah,
so
but you don't have to ask. Who
I
made
want
this
the
plane?
Boeing people to shut their fucking mouths. Let this thing go down the runway. Let me feel like it's okay. And if it happens, it happens.
You know what the ultimate conspiracy theory is?
Yeah.
That Trump has a Boeing plane, and that's why they're doing this.
Whoa.
Dun, dun, dun. I got you with that one, huh?
That's something wild.
That one got you excited.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine that's what they did.
What do you do? What happens if he dies?
Imagine that. I don't know.
How crazy is it going to be if he gets whacked? I mean,
I don't know if they're going to do that. I think they're going to try to go to war with China. I think they're going to go to war somehow.
Yeah.
I think they're going to, if they are going to do anything. I think they just fucking try to do something that either delays an election or makes an election harder to have or something. I don't know. But if they were going to do something, it might be that. And I don't know. And they may do nothing. They may just, have a fair election. I don't know. I mean, they might. I don't know.
This is the question. This is what we were talking about earlier. If they're willing to deceive us with the Steele dossier,
that's right.
They're willing to deceive us with what they did with Bernie and what they did with RFK Jr. in the primary. If they're willing to do all that, why would we think that they wouldn't fuck with the election? Like, this is the one thing that they wouldn't fuck with. And then if you question it at all, especially Trump, because nobody really cared when everybody else questioned the elections.
Right.
Nobody cared when Hillary went around forever questioning the elections. Nobody cared.
Everybody has questioned elections in this country for a very long time.
Standard move.
Bush v. Gore. Remember the court case?
Yes. Remember the?
Yes. It's kind of a standard move.
Move.
It's been getting more and more malevolent in the sense that people after Trump won, it was a whole thing with Russia.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I haven't looked at any specific evidence for the fuckery, but I think there's probably fuckery all over the place. There's probably fuckery in every election.
There's gotta be some. It's not zero.
Yeah.
The amount of election fraud isn't zero.
This one, they have to do something big. This one will have to be, if something's going to happen, it's probably going to have to be something big. They're going to have to wag the dog on such in such a way that America's like, whoa. And there's some articles coming out being like, could a foreign government perhaps take advantage of,
Yeah.
So who knows what they're planning? I just know that they don't want him in a way that I've never seen.
Never. It's never been more transparent.
It's never been more transparent how much they do not want him in. And I'm not even saying that you can't criticize him or you have to love him or anything. I'm just speaking simply, again, from looking at the measures taken since he announced a candidacy.
And here's what's really crazy.
Yeah.
I think they thought they did enough propaganda-wise before 2016 for him to lose.
Yes.
So when you watch all the news reports and all their coverage, it was like 90% Hillary was going to win.
That's right.
And then as the night went on, everybody was like, holy shit, he won. So they went through the egg on their face. They went through all that. They're not going to let that happen again. And now he's an overwhelming favorite.
Yes.
Like, he's a favorite. If the election happened now and the election was fair, he would win. Right?
Yes.
Like, he's several points ahead of Biden, right?
That's right.
What's the latest polls? Because he went up in the polls after the conviction.
Which was such a mistake for them to try to do that because he raised $40 million, something like that, $38 million.
No, it's way more than that
Maybe
now.
more.
I think it's like $100 million.
It crashed his campaign website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that poll? How do they question everybody real quick? Like when some news breaks, they're like, "What do you think now?"
Right? Who are they
at
questioning?
6 p.m. How do they get a new?
Well, I
update?
always say this: they're only getting results from people dumb enough to answer polls. So that, by the way, is a skewed response
for sure.
Polls in today's day and age, there's no reason to answer them.
But there's
Why are you doing
also a
that?
social stigma to saying Trump.
Oh yeah.
So I think that you have to weigh the numbers like that.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a social stigma to saying Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Or certainly there was. Maybe it's going away, but there was. So you might want to weight the poll to that as well.
That's 100% true.
And go, there's a certain percentage of people that are lying and saying Biden who aren't going to vote for Biden.
Right.
So a close race might really mean that Trump is up a few percentage points.
I think he's up a few percentage points already. I think he was up like 6 points.
And I think I talked to a lot of hardcore leftists that are like really resigned to him winning and don't care because they say
maybe it'll be better for the economy.
They said we did not vote for Biden to go to war with Ukraine, to go to war with Russia through Ukraine. We didn't vote for
jack up inflation.
We didn't vote for an unending commitment to whatever Israel wants to do in Gaza. We didn't vote for house prices being higher than they've ever been, interest rates being higher than they've ever been. We didn't vote for any of that. He's done a lot for the environment, Biden, supposedly, but also a lot of people didn't vote for all the taxes that come along with that.
What is the new one they're doing? They're going after the guy from the Epoch Times.
For embezzlement or something?
Epoch Times is one of those hardcore right-wing
site.
Which is hilarious. Epoch Times is hilarious.
That is very funny.
It's like, this is the end.
Welcome to the end. Money laundering.
Yeah, charges alleged $67 million global money laundering scheme. So this is the headline, right? What's the actual story? What's a good place to go? Probably AP is probably the bit more balanced. Go to AP just for the fuck of it. All right. What will become of the Epoch Times as chief financial officer accused of money laundering? Okay. What is the accusation? What is Epoch Times? Federal prosecutors in New York charged, boy, say that dude's name, Weidong Guan of Secaucus, New Jersey, chief financial officer of the Epoch Times, of steering at least $67 million in criminal proceeds, much from fraudulently obtained unemployment insurance benefits to the company, its affiliates, and himself. Guan pleaded not guilty, but was suspended by the Epoch Times, which agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. The case falls into question the future of a company that was a key online supporter of Trump and a spreader of conspiracy theories. So what is the $67 million of unemployment? That's what it's saying? How did they do it? How'd they do that? What is it? This is all just like, what does it mean for the Epoch Times? But what is how did he do it?
How would have to come out in the trial? You'd have to wait for the trial.
They don't say what they're accusing him of?
I think that was,
They're accusing him of stealing money.
Stealing money. Laundering money, I guess, in that...
You would think. A top executive of Epoch Times. So he's just a guy that worked there. A right-wing media company has been arrested and charged with laundering at least $67 million in stolen. So he might have actually done it. And they might just... they're not trying to close the company, right? He's just the chief financial officer.
Right.
Right? So he might have actually done it. I don't know. Chief financial officer was arrested Monday, and the indictment, headed up on May 23rd, was unsealed. He entered a plea of not guilty. His lawyer, federal public defender. Why does he have a public defender?
I guess he lost all his money.
That
seems crazy.
Is that
seems
how it works?
odd.
That seems crazy. Declined to comment. And if convicted, Mr. Guan faces a maximum sentence of 20 years for the money laundering charge and 30 years for each bank fraud. Oh, geez, he's fucked. Epoch Times is affiliated with Falun Gong, a spiritual movement banned in China, and was for years an obscure free print newspaper dedicated largely to criticizing the Chinese Communist Party. In recent years, the outlet transformed itself into a prominent supporter of Donald J. Trump and his allies on the right. Oh, they're probably grifting. It's probably
they're trying to make a couple of bucks.
It's a grifty company.
Yeah.
According to prosecutors, Mr. Guan ran a sprawling transnational scheme over 4 years to buy prepaid debit cards on the internet at a discount using cryptocurrency and then deposit the cards' money into both personal and company accounts. The debit cards were loaded with illegally obtained funds, prosecutors said, some of which was fraudulently obtained unemployment insurance benefits. Oh, wow. This seems deep. Whew. But
Falun Gong.
But hold, please, because if you're the type of dude who has a website that's basically dedicated to criticizing the Chinese Communist Party, and then all of a sudden you flip and become a pro-Trump supporter, that sounds to me like one of those fucking Facebook pages that Russia takes over.
Yes.
Like they take a Christian, they used to have a memes
and
page.
then it's a Black Lives Matter page, and then it becomes a trans rights page.
Yeah, there's a ton of those folks out there grifting. If one of those guys was also involved in an illegal money laundering scheme, that seems like...
Go and sow some chaos.
That's probably what they do.
Go sow some chaos. It's a great job. I'd like to do it in China for us. If they're hiring these, why can't America? Let's get an army of lunatics, people like me. Send me into China. I'll start problem. They'd kill me quickly.
You couldn't do it there.
That's
You'd have
why
to do it remotely.
we lack the advantages, because you can come here and really start some shit.
Do you think that our government is doing that here too?
I think elements of it probably are, for sure.
They have to be.
They have to be.
Why? They must be. If China is doing that, and we know that Russia's doing that, we know that they're doing that.
Well, then what would Navalny have been? Let's think about this, right? Now, Navalny might be a great Russian patriot who was disgusted with Vladimir Putin. I do know he started his career with very different views than the views he began espousing after he seems like a guy that the CIA has a conversation with and then becomes a prominent. I'm not saying that it's possible, but so we're doing things like that
100%.
probably, and then they're doing things to us where they're like making my aunt kind of more racist. They're starting with a pretty racist person, but they're twisting her and they're getting her more racist.
With memes?
With memes and with all kinds of crap. I mean,
things they share that might not even be true.
Yeah, she's like a Long Island, because these Long Island boomers now, we're throwing stuff at them and they're just like catching it with their teeth. They're like a dog.
They share it to their aunt on
and they
Facebook.
just share it and they don't know what's going on. And they're just kind of like, it's all not. My friend's mother thinks McDonald's is serving human meat. So that's where we are. A certain percentage of the population is schizophrenic because they can't handle all the stuff we talked about here.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to realize how corrupt things are, but how they've always been.
Yeah.
So if you learn all of this in an hour, your mind melts.
Right.
And then you start going, is Chrissy Teigen a vampire? Because it's like up is down and black is white.
Yeah. There's too much information.
It's too much information. But if you know about JFK or RFK or Martin Luther King or Quintel or anything, you have the context to put a lot of this stuff in.
Right.
So you're not like, your mind doesn't melt immediately.
Right.
It melts slowly.
Real slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just can keep people fighting about everything and everything being something that they have to uncover and all this chaos, you can get a lot done behind the scenes.
You need to. You have to have people completely scattered, have no...
Yeah, you can't have people like calm.
No.
And everybody fine and paying attention to what you're doing.
And then you got to bless it. You got to go every now and then. You got to go, and then there's like an NFT party. Everybody has like a time where the crypto is killing it. And everybody gets a little money. And then they go, okay, well, we got to clamp down on this.
Right.
And then the internet's free. And then they're like, man, let's clamp down on this. And it's just they oscillate between clamping down on things and then letting people run with them for a little bit.
God damn it.
Yeah. It's a delicate balance.
You imagine being in charge of chaos?
Oh.
Do you think there's a guy that's like runs a chaos department in the deep state?
Well, I think there's many guys that do, and ladies.
And do you think that
let's not forget them?
What is their view of the world? If they're the ones that are instigating all this chaos, and they're the ones that are fueling it online, if they're working to actively do that and comment on things on Twitter and get things crazy, what is their view of the world? Like, they must be so cynical.
I think the only view those people have ever had is the alternative is worse.
Right. If we don't do
I
this,
think that's
Trump
the
gets in
only view
office.
they've had. I think when they were doing MK Ultra on people, I think they were going the alternative is worse. It's worse. And you can justify a lot of things. When they were carpet bombing Vietnam, it's the alternative is worse. I think that's kind of the only view that those guys can have in that echelon of the national security apparatus. They can't. I don't think they're analyzing it too much outside of that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This does not leave me feeling good, Tim.
Well,
I was hoping to be more.
Well, we're going to tell jokes
Tonight should be fun.
It's fun to tell jokes.
Are you splitting your time? You're all over the place now?
I'm all over the place. I spend most of my time in the French Protectorate in Monaco, where I find honest people. And it's so good to have honest people around you. I'm very susceptible to environments. There's a lot of people that live on boats over there. No. I'm all over the place. Me and Sam Talent were just in Europe for like 3 weeks. It was amazing. I'm here.
Sam was just here.
I'm going to spend a lot of time here, I think, in the summer and fall because now I'm off the road. So it's like I'm going to be here. I'll be popping into LA a little bit.
Nice.
I'll be around. We're doing something cool with Netflix. We can't say it. It's not a stand-up special. It's something cool. It's like an election type special thing.
Oh, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's it'll be fun, and I'm excited about that. And it's just fun to do fun stuff. And who knows? We don't know.
Yeah,
it's fun. It could all work out.
It could all work out. It probably will all work out.
That's right.
I mean, you can look back on. There's an Assyrian tablet, I think.
Yeah.
Fucking 4,000 years ago or something like that. Where I'm pretty sure I saved it, where they were talking about the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think I saved it. It's just one of those things. It's like human beings always have that feeling that it's all falling apart. They always have that feeling that at a certain point in time, all of our luck's going to run out. And it has. That's the other thing.
That's the other thing.
Like, it actually, at one point
It
in
is
time,
a great Eddie Pepitone joke where he goes, every generation thinks theirs is the one where the world ends. He goes, but we are right.
Here it is. A Syrian clay tablet dating to around 2800 BC bears the inscription, "Our earth is degenerative in these later days. There are signs that the world is speedily coming to an end. Bribery and corruption are common. Children no longer obey their parents. Every man wants to write a book." And what happened?
I was trying to get the full quote, cut it off.
But I had it right there.
Yeah.
And the end of the world is evidently approaching. That's amazing. So
That
this
is
is
amazing.
this is a good way to end this. To
That's
just
right.
explain to people. This fear that we have had is just, we are in a constant state of change and a constant battle of truth and propaganda, and it's always been that way. And that this tablet from 4,800 years ago,
And it'll always be that way.
it's always going to be
It's
that
always
way.
going to be that
We're
way.
monkeys. We're crazy monkeys.
So find something fun out there to do.
Yeah, like come to the mothership if you
And
can.
come to the mothership. And not this weekend. It's sold out.
Are you here this weekend?
I'm here this weekend.
Oh, shit.
I'm here the
Nice.
weekend.
Nice.
I'm here, baby. I'm in.
Well,
it.
that's exciting.
So we're going to do Falun Gong.
Yeah.
Chinese spiritual warfare. If you like Chinese spiritual warfare, these shows will be for you.
The text message I'm going to be sending you in the future are going to be green.
Oh, you're going to
Yeah, I'm trying to switch over.
you're going to Android?
I'm going to see what happens. I don't like being trapped. I felt like I was trapped. I got
I
anxiety
don't like
about
it
switching.
either. I don't like it either.
I get anxiety about switching.
When I
I'm
see
like, how
that
crazy
when
is
that green text message comes in, it's
Right.
going to be so weird though.
But it is weird. The
I
whole
know.
thing, it's weird that we're so trapped
Yes.
in this wonderful Apple bubble. They do a great job. Make a great phone. It's a
They
great
do a
phone.
great job.
Everything works great. It's great. I love the way you can
Yeah.
send videos and airdrop people and FaceTime people. I love it. But I also don't
But you
like...
got to have the new charger all the time.
Well, no, not anymore. Now it's USB-C. Everything's
Okay, gotcha.
USB-C because of Europe is actually forcing Apple to comply.
All of these social media sites, or whatever it is. Apple's not social media, but like all these tech companies, they have downsides. Mm-hmm. And then they have things that are really good. Facebook had things that were really good, but they also sell maids in the Philippines.
I was watching, there was an Instagram page that was all dedicated to finding people in prison that you could date when they get out.
Thank God. Thank God.
I was looking at it, it's like, how many people who are just like Captain Save-A-Ho are
That's
just
right.
at home looking at these people going, when she gets
it's
out.
a redeemable country.
Meet an inmate. Lonely inmates in the U.S. seek pen pals.
I just typed in hot single inmates. And that's what popped up. I've seen a few
Meet an
videos
inmate.
of this going around where they're like making like a singles video.
Well,
Like,
there's got to be guys and gals that are interested in that. Like, that's their thing.
you gotta
Like,
love a
get
prisoner.
someone ready. Look, they don't have nowhere to stay. They can stay with me.
hot prison
know?
pals.
Yeah, meet a hot prison pal.
Text.
You'll be glad you did! Exclamation point.
Well, if you want to meet people that have been in jail, come to one of my shows. And there's a
This
very good
weekend
chance
There's a high likelihood.
you'll meet them.
Yeah, high likelihood. All right, let's wrap this bitch up.
You're the best. Thank
You're the
you.
best. You're
Thank
the best.
you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it,
I'm gonna
brother.
come see you this weekend. I'm excited.
I hope so.
I wanna see your set. I'm
Thank you,
pumped.
buddy.
Tell everybody.
Don't tell me which night. I'll be nervous.
Okay, I won't.
Okay. I'm kidding. Okay.
Tell everybody. It's just Tim J. Dillon.
It's Tim Dillon
J.
Show.
Dillon, right?
Yeah, on
On
Instagram.
Instagram?
Tim J. Dillon on Instagram and X, and then Tim Dillon Show if you like podcasts
Yes.
where people yell.
It's the best. You're the best ranter on earth.
Wow,
I really
that's very
believe
sweet
that.
of you.
I really. Your show, you by yourself talking about things.
Yeah.
Is
I
one of
appreciate it,
One of the
brother.
great joys in life.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank
All
you,
right.
brother.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.